Welcome to the Balls Talk Sports NFL podcast. And Victor, to be perfectly honest with you, this might be the most fun episode of the year. It is our 2025 NFL Draft running back rankings. And look, ranking running backs, watching running back tape, you just can't go wrong. I mean, there's a reason that everyone's favorite underrated player is just their team's RB2. It's an inherently awesome, fun position, so many different flavors. And to make it even better, this is a deep class that we're going to get to talk over.
Oh yeah, I mean this is talk about flavors. There is as many flavors as you could possibly want in this class, and depending on which teams pick where, I mean we could see these guys go in any range. So this is a position that will be one of the most, if not the most interesting to watch on draft night. Maybe interior defensive line, but once you get down the board, this is the position where everybody's just going to be like, when is this guy going to go? That guy went where? It's running back's always a position that everyone's surprised at because everyone forgets teams run different schemes. But this is going to be a fun draft, and these are a lot of fun players. I'm excited for this one.
So it's going to be fun to see on draft night where the run on running back starts.
Yep.
Because here's the thing. The run on running backs could be from like the second to the sixth round. Like for 4 consecutive rounds, there are just that many guys that are draftable, that are going to play big-time roles. Are we ready to talk it over? Are we ready to get kinky?
Let's get kinky. First things first, though, I would like to talk about a non-running back for a second. Wide receiver Julio Jones retires from the NFL after, 14 years? Just quick homage. One of my tied for my favorite wide receiver ever with Demaryius Thomas. Truly amazing to watch him play throughout my entire childhood. So, absolute NFL legend. Should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. You talk about receivers, that is the physical mold. The perfect wide receiver built in a lab. We always talk about Calvin Johnson. Julio's there too. And he made it better with work ethic and actual elite technical ability. Robbed of a Super Bowl by an idiot defense and an idiot head coach. Hope he does well in retirement. Deserves the gold jacket. Wanted to pay a quick tribute to him.
That toe tap catch he made in the Super Bowl, one of the most underappreciated playoff plays in the history of the NFL. It's criminal, some of the plays that are forgotten in Super Bowls because their team lost. It's just not fair. He should be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
It was the dagger, too. If they had won that Super Bowl.
If they had just done their job.
That is one of the greatest plays of all time, but alas. And I mean everyone's seen the Kuechly catch, the going over Kuechly's head to make the catch, bringing it in for the touchdown. 300-yard game against Carolina. Man, just snatching it out of Malcolm Butler's cold, dead hands. He was an awesome player.
I thought you were going to talk about Jalen Milroe.
No, it's Julio Jones. There is no other.
Completely agreed. Now, after the homage to Julio Jones, so this is a Julio Jones fandom quiz for you.
All right.
Can you tell me his real name?
I knew it at one point, and I cannot now.
Quintorris Lopez.
Yeah,
of course.
That's what it is. I knew it at one point.
That's the extent of my ball knowledge.
Julio is a great name, though.
Much stronger. It rolls off the tongue better.
I think he is the ultimate name in football. I don't know. It's just you talk about the name test. I don't think anybody passed it more than Julio Jones. That is a first ballot Hall of Fame wide receiver name. Randy Moss, Julio Jones, and then I don't know if there's a better wide receiver name than that. Jamar Chase, maybe eventually that name will reach that level, but man, that is an NFL wide receiver name.
It's simple, rolls off the tongue. It's got the J pair. There's something, you gotta love the Kool-Aid McKinstries of the world, but Julio Jones doesn't have to overcomplicate it. The name speaks for itself. The play style speaks for itself. Absolutely. Truly one of the greats.
For sure. All right, time to talk about some running backs. If you, of course, listened to our Edge.
We're assuming you did. If not, stop this episode right now. Go back and listen to it.
Yeah, it's need for previous viewing. You need to understand. You need to watch that to understand.
It's a prerequisite. It's a required course.
But no, you should watch that episode because it was a fantastic episode. I think we did a great job on that. But I think we should do it in the same way. How we did it. If you didn't watch that episode for some reason, we went through a top 10 where we each went 10 to 7. Talked about those guys. We started with honorable mentions, and I figure we'll do that today. But then we went 10 through 7. 6 through 4, and 3 through 1 to end it. So you good with doing it the same way?
I think that format works well.
All right, great. So anybody you want to talk about as kind of like a he didn't make your top 10, but I really wanted to talk about him anyway. Even if he might have made my top 10, we can just give brief.
So when I'm ranking these guys in the top 10, I want to make sure that I watched a couple of games of all 22 on them in 2024, even if I'm, say, familiar with their game over the summer, or I feel like I know what they do. So the guys I wasn't able to rank that I feel like really had a chance, really had a crack at it, were Kyle Monangai from Rutgers. Watched a lot of Kyle Monangai over the summer. I feel like I know what he is. His upside on the list is pretty limited. He would have been 9 or 10 at highest and probably won't be top 10 in my final rankings, but a hell of a football player, that's for sure. Damian Martinez, I did watch, but he didn't make it for me. RJ Harvey. I was just starting my RJ Harvey eval when it came time to brush up on some of the notes and head over to the studio. He was kind of a my guy over summer, just a spark plug. Some of the best acceleration in the class. He's rocked up, just built extremely well for his size. Even as, how much does he weigh? 205. It feels like more than 205 when you're tackling him. So he has a real shot at the list, I feel like. And then I had one more guy, Trevor Etienne. Not great between the tackles. From everything I've seen on him over summer, it felt like those struggles continued. He didn't take a step up in that department in 2024 per se, but really athletic. Another guy with truly premium acceleration and just fantastic foot speed. He does pop on tape, even when you're watching other guys. It's hard to not notice Trevor Etienne, and a very talented pass catcher as well. So a guy in sort of that James Cook mold that I could see developing into one of the better receiving backs in the NFL with still enough upside to break arm tackles to potentially improve the vision to become a good starter. So those are the guys that I felt like I couldn't rank. Everyone else I'm good to go on.
Yeah. My 10 through 12 was so tough because 10, 11, 12, I have identical grades on all of them. Like down to the Excel spreadsheet has near like all of them are within the same 0.1 grade. It's freaky how awesome all these guys are. Those three guys are Trevor Etienne, RJ Harvey, and Damian Martinez in no particular order. We'll reveal who's my 10 when we do 10 through 7. But those guys are all just they're fantastic players, and it was like picking children, choosing one of them to be my 10, but I did have to, and I did. Another guy I want to give a shout out to. Two more guys, I think. Brashard Smith out of SMU. I feel like in this class we talk a lot about there's a lot of good runners here. I don't know if there's like elite well of pass catchers. He may be the true best pound for pound pass catcher in the draft. I mean, as a running back, he can legitimately play slot receiver for you.
Converted wide receiver.
I mean, maybe, but
Wait, he was.
yeah,
He was a wide
he was
receiver.
converted. Yeah, I mean, it makes so much sense. You can see he's by far and away the best route runner. He's very elusive. He's just hard to bring. He's just hard to find. If you do get your hands on him, he's going to go down. He's and that's why he doesn't make my top 10, 13th overall running back for me, because he is sub 200, 5'11", I believe, and he does not have. He has good vision, but he just doesn't have the vision to really overcome that. And he does not have the elite athleticism to overcome that. Like he's not going to be Bucky Irving. Because Bucky Irving, he's one in a kind, he's 192, but he counteracts that by having legitimately top 5 agility in the league. Like that jump cut is the stuff of nightmares. And great burst and great speed. And Brashard Smith just ticked down on that. Plus Irving's vision developed so well in Tampa this year. So I don't think he's Bucky Irving, but he can be a really fun third down back. Probably he's also not the best pass protector. So it's just like, again, there's just too many knocks on him to have in my top 10. I love the receiving back that can just go over and play a bunch of roles for you. And then I also want to give a shout out to Jarquez Hunter from Auburn. Like the physical tools aren't there. He's small. He's a good short area athlete, but that's it. He's kind of stiff and he's not that fast. But man, is he just a nasty player. He just fights you. He's like what? I don't know. He's a very small guy, but he plays like he's Derrick Henry, man. He's just gonna ram his helmet into your chest and just keep running. Very vision. He can dance to the line and find the hole. And you talk about a guy who can just get through the tackles, that knifing quality, just wiggle in there. He's a fun player, and he will find a role on a team. as a second or a third back. Never going to be a number one guy, but just a really fun player to watch.
Jarquez Hunter is 5'9" and 3/8, 204. And that came as a shock to me
Yeah.
because the first time I was exposed to him, I mean, you figure the guy's 215. He's just made out of nails, looks painful to tackle.
Exactly.
He's got all the determination in the world. And like you mentioned, he knows what he is. He's not going to waste time around the line. This is a guy who's absolutely going to settle in as a backup. And then Brashard Smith, he was my running back 14. I think we see him very similarly. Obviously a quality pass catcher as a converted wide receiver out of Miami. I think he can definitely be a real player for you. Like he doesn't just have to be the slot hybrid per se. He's a guy that you can give a draw to. The vision, it's got to be cleaned up. The pass pro, it has to be cleaned up. But the fact is, he's a young player. I mean, he might still put on some weight as well. Obviously, he's never going to be like your best threat between the tackles, but he's got more power than you expect for a guy that size. Like you said, he's going to get thrown down when guys get arms around him, but he can break the occasional arm tackle. He can kind of sidestep out of traffic, and he's got some nice contortion ability, I would say, as well when guys hit him. He's at a disadvantaged angle. Looks like he's going to go down. Finds a way to stay up. I think that the whole development track argument for running backs is we talk about running backs differently than other positions. It feels like people talk about them where every player is what you see is what you get. And is that more true with running backs than other positions? Yeah. But the fact is, guys' vision can get better. If they're young, they can get bigger and stronger. Their timing and ability to chain moves, that can all get better. Their pass protection can get better. Their hands and route running can get better. You still have to do a lot of projecting for running backs, and I think for Brashard Smith, he had an excellent Senior Bowl as well, by the way. That's kind of how he put his name on the map. You couldn't really tell him apart from the wideouts. I think his best ball is still in front of him.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And well, the thing with that is it's also like you're drafting a running back. They absolutely are most effective in their first contract. So it's just teams generally are going to go for the guy that's more polished now. So when you're doing projecting, it's like, yeah, in 3 years, this guy could be that. Well, odds on, if he's not doing great in his first 2 years, he's not going to be on our team in 3 years. So what good does that do us? Maybe eventually, as scouts, we could say, eventually he could be really good, but probably won't be for the team that drafts him. So, but I do think he can be good for the team that drafts him. I think you can give him 8 touches a game in his first year, and he can make some things happen. 5 to 8 touches, and then maybe eventually he becomes a 10 to 12 touch guy. Probably no more than that, but and yeah, just throw him out of the backfield, let him run whatever you want, play him in the slot. You just have a lot of fun with him as a receiver as well. I'd really love to see him in a nice duo in the backfield. Maybe somebody that runs some 21 personnel. Just get him running while somebody else is blocking, or just do some fancy stuff with him. I don't know. It could be he's a player with a lot of options.
Certainly. Are we ready for the 10 to 7 conversation?
Yep. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
I can go first since you revealed your honorable mentions first. At 10, I've got Devin Neal out of Kansas. Then Bayshal Tootin from Virginia Tech, the speedster, at number 9. And this might be my most controversial ranking. We'll see Cam Scadaboo from Arizona State at 8. I'm really intrigued to see where you have him because obviously an extremely fun player. And then DJ Giddens from K-State at 7.
All right. Very interesting list. Yeah. My number 10, out of the 10 through 12, the guy just could not quit, is Trevor Etienne from Florida. Number 9 is DJ Giddens from Kansas State. Number 8, number 8 and number 7 are slightly more controversial. 8 is Dylan Sampson from Tennessee. 7 is Cam Scadaboo from Arizona State.
Oh, no. We were talking pre-episode about how we were going to be super different on these guys. Ooh.
On some of them.
We'll
I already
we'll
know
see.
we're different on some of them.
Okay. So you had Trevor Etienne. Do you want to talk about Trevor Etienne?
We covered him. I liked what you said about him, and I think I see him in a similar way. I think what I came he's not great in vision between the tackles. He's not great really just moving between the tackles. But when you talk about Trevor Etienne, well, so first let me start off with I have identical grades on him, Harvey, and Martinez, 3 through 5. Running backs are the only players I give spanning like multiple round grades. No other position has that large a gap of if I'm a zone team, I'd take him in the 3rd round. If I'm a gap team, I'd take him in the 5th round. Like that is like that's how I do my range. It's like if I'm this specific scheme team, I probably want him further down the board. I'm right. So that's why I have 3 through 4s, 2 through 3s, 5 through 6s. And that's why I have round 3 grades, because I think this guy is, you just take him in the third round no matter what team you are and you're happy with him. But Etienne, Harvey, and Martinez are all 3 through 5s because they're all fit specific niches. And Etienne is a zone runner through and through. But when you talk about him as a zone runner, he is better than Harvey and Martinez are at any of the single qualities. And that's what pushed him over for me. I think if you get him in the right system, if you get him with the right coach, then I think he is the highest ceiling out of all of them. Because I also think he's the best. I think Harvey is a better lateral athlete, but I think Etienne is the best straight line athlete. He's undersized, that's no secret. But I think his vision on the outside showed a lot of potential. I mean, there were some misses, but it wasn't like horrifying misses. I never saw anything too awful, and you want to improve the consistency, but I think you can, especially because wide zone has a lower skill ceiling when it comes to reading out the play. It's a lot harder to do that in gap. So everybody runs some gap and man schemes, but you get them in Miami or San Francisco. Well, San Francisco 2 years ago, really. In another wide zone team, he can really be great. Especially the thing that's going to make or break him, if he's like a great receiving back, if he had like Brashard Smith receiving, he'd probably be my top 6. But he needs a lot of work in the receiving game. Absolutely has the potential. Saw the flashes, but not there. No production. I do like his hands. Very solid, very safe, but
one career drop.
Yeah, exactly. The route running needs a lot of work. Pass pro needs a lot of work, but fast, just a sharp cutter. And when you talk about these outside zone guys, the guys who are fast, they're small, they don't have great vision. The one thing you always say is they always go down at first contact. That's not Trevor Etienne. He will take you down. Like, he's like 5'8", 205 or something, 5'9", 205. But just
sub 200, 198, 5'8" and 3/4, 198. Man, he runs through arm tackles better than that.
He did not play at that. There's no way he plays at that weight.
That's true. He probably cut down to run, I would imagine.
Which is, if he didn't cut down to run 4.42 is a little bit disappointing. I was expecting low 4.4s, high 4.3s, but
he shows it on tape. I'm not worried about that.
I'm not worried about that. He really just he just does break through arm tackles, man. Like there's nobody business. He will lower his shoulder into your chest and take you down for a couple of extra yards. Obviously, he's not Derrick Henry. He's not Josh Jacobs, but I mean, it's functional at least. He has functional power, which is something that's very rare for these outside zone guys, and not something I really felt that I saw with R.J. Harvey as much. That's why he got the grade over R.J. Harvey. And I just think with Damian Martinez, he's a great player, but again, he just doesn't have that upside, even though I think Martinez is a really great player. Big, powerful, and fast. That's a fun combo. It'll get him drafted decently highly. Just something about it, just gut feeling, Trevor Etienne over them. So I like Etienne a lot, and I think he's got great upside, but there's a lot to work on.
One thing that stood out to me about Etienne is it feels like people are kind of trending down on him because he had pretty high expectations coming into the year. He has the drunk driving incident at the beginning, and obviously besides that just being sort of a red flag, it also chopped off some of his production since he wasn't available and on the field. But he did make strides in some categories. Like on his summer tape, his pass protection was bad. It was like among the worst pass protection film that I've ever seen. And he wasn't great this year, but he improved. And if that can keep trending in the right direction, like you said, I think it's plausible. Like, the NFL is getting more acceptant of running backs that are sub 200 being pretty clear-cut starters. I think that he could become a 3-down impact for you, like you said, and more of a wide zone-oriented scheme. So a guy with some upside. And I think we just totally concur on Damian Martinez. The reason that he missed the top 10 for me was because of the upside. You talked about it being a gut feeling. I will say, I don't really think he's fast. He's fast for his size. I think he's going to get tracked down. Like, I don't think he has breakaway potential at the next level.
No, that's not. Yeah, I was just like,
he's not a plotter.
Yeah, no, he's quality long speed. Like, it's good enough to survive in the NFL, which for a 5'11", 226 guy that is being drafted in day 3, it's rare to see this speed.
That's true.
Like, that's what I'm like, this kind of guy, who's big, powerful, and has that much speed generally goes higher. That maybe tells you a little bit about what we think about the rest of his abilities. You know, kind of a stiff runner, just not
Very.
much. He is a north-south guy through and through. He's not an NFL receiver. Just never going to be there on
Yep.
third downs. And for a big guy, pass protection tape really disappointed me. So there's reasons why he's probably going to go in day 3, but there's a nice blend there. Could be fun, but yeah, that stiffness is just it's going to limit his ceiling for me.
To me, he's just an old-fashioned banging type of running back. You get him in as, if he reaches his upside, I do think a quality part of a committee, that Thunder
Yeah.
and Lightning idea, it was the pass protection tape for me that really stood out. I don't think his foot speed is good enough. I think that he plays slow in the feet. And for a guy who doesn't waste a ton of movement around the line of scrimmage, I think his vision is perfectly fine. I think once he gets to those congested corridors, he's got long strides and can eat up a lot of ground and then drag guys and fall forward. He's just not very instinctive to me. I didn't see a lot of ability to. I mean, you don't expect him to set up moves, but he truly just runs forward, drags guys, and then goes down. Like I mentioned, the feet just can't keep up in pass protection. It felt like there was this slowness that was over top of his game. And in college, when you are big and have adequate long speed and see the holes that are presented to you, you can get by with that. In the NFL, I do think that constricts you to a very specific role. And one thing you're going to notice that I favor in these running back rankings are guys that I could really picture being quality starters. They don't have to be 3-down guys, but I don't want to say that RB2s and even good RB2s are a dime a dozen. I think that there's a pretty clear drop-off between a quality starter and a quality role player at the position.
Yeah, and I do think he could. I don't know if he's ever going to be a quality starter, but I do think he's a guy that eventually could get 10 runs a game
Me
and
too.
10 good looks a game. So, especially with the way that the NFL is trending right now, we're seeing a lot of too high. The past few years, seeing a lot of too high safeties, a lot of nickel and dime. So last year we saw a lot more 12 personnel. We saw a lot more of those thumpers getting more time, and I think Damian Martinez's draft stock will really improve from that. If you're talking 3 years ago, I might have a whole round grade lower on it, but because we do kind of need to fill a need. And as you said, we're seeing more of these sub 200 guys come in the league. Martinez is slowly, his breed has been dwindling, and now there's a demand for it. So Martinez being one of the only guys with the supply, that's why I like him a little bit more. It's just kind of like he's benefiting from this. We're running more often. We need a bruiser. Well, he's a bruiser. So him, Manungai, they're definitely going to be benefits of the way the NFL offenses are trending right now in the lower rounds.
Monunga is just freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Are we going to talk about Devin Neal?
We are going to talk about Devin Neal.
He is like, and this isn't a perfect comp. I acknowledge this isn't a perfect comp. But at the very basic level, he's like Devin Neal, but even more. Do you know what I mean by that?
I do. We will talk about Devin Neal later.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I think let's save the talk for then. The Devin, because he's your 10, right?
Yeah, and I hate the fact that he's my 10.
I get it. I totally get it. Because again, as I was telling you before the show, 6 through 12 is all like about the same. Like they're
Feel
not
the
all
same
about
way.
the same, but like 6 and 7 for me are. I'll just say it. Devin Neal's my 6. So we can talk about him at the end of this, but that's like Scadaboo and Neal are like a smidge higher than 8 through 12 for me, but it's not enough that I'm like going to separate them by tiers. Running backs, I feel like having just linear rankings never really tells the full story. You got to put them in tiers for the same reason of schemes and niches and what they all do, because they're all going to be valuable for different teams. But we'll talk about Neal a little bit later. I do get why you have him a little bit lower, though. It's very understandable.
At the beginning of the episode, you mentioned that you had 2 guys that kind of stood out in their own sub-tier, and I knew one of them was going to be Cam Scadaboo.
Yeah.
I thought the other one was probably going to be Bayshal Tootin. Where do you have him?
See, so you have him 8, right?
I have him 9.
9. I have him 14.
I get it.
So it's because I mean that's again that's like why we're going to disagree. I have Neal higher than you do. I have Tootin a lot lower than you do. Do you want to talk about Tootin now, or do you want to talk about he's your number 9?
Yes.
Well, yeah, let's talk about Tootin now. I'd like to hear why he cracks the top 10 for you, because I get it.
Honestly, my sales pitch on him isn't all that impressive because I kind of reluctantly have him at 9. Like I mentioned, I prefer backs that have a chance to be very good starters, and I think he can be a good starter. I don't think he can be a great starter. I think he's too small for that. Another one of these undersized players where if you get arms around him, he's just getting tossed on the ground. And what doesn't help that is I don't think he's especially creative either. We all know the big story on him. He ran what did he run? He ran a 4.32 at the combine. Do you think he lives up to it on tape?
Mm, I mean, I didn't watch much of him, so again, I can't give a great opinion. Maybe if I'd watched more games, he'd be higher. But no, I was thinking like low. I was thinking like 4.4 flat.
I was thinking like 4.38 at best.
Yeah, I mean that's
There are some
it's
running
still good.
backs. He might have the best
he's got a
long speed in
gear.
the class. It's
Yeah,
close.
he's got a gear. Once he hits that gear, he's gone.
You're virtually never going to catch him
Yeah.
behind. However, there are some running backs, and look, I know not everyone has to be like a Jahmyr Gibbs type of back, but there's a select group of running backs in the league where the moment that you see that crease in front of them, the moment that they have the opportunity to get to the open field, they're gone. There's this fear hanging over defenses that
It's that easy accelerator, man.
we got to play over top because if he gets any ounce of space, the pursuit angle's just not there anymore. It doesn't matter if we can bring him down, if we get hands on him. We're just not getting hands on him. And like you said, it's the acceleration. And I think it's fine with Bashal Tutin. I did not feel that fear factor even at the college level watching him. It was much more like if he does find his way into a crease and, maybe the safety gets held up, maybe it's a good crack block, maybe he trips and falls, something like that, then he's not getting caught from behind. But I don't know. There's just not a whole lot he does well. I think the saving grace for me was that he's got a little bit of power to him, a little bit of contact balance, I should say.
I saw that too.
And I think his vision is fine. I think it's fine on inside runs. I think it's fine on outside runs. It's not exceptional. Did I write? Yeah, I think he processes traffic very well, which can kind of be like reading the grain of a run correctly and sort of setting up your blocker can almost be like a ball carrier move in its own right. And when we're talking about a player who is on the field because they have home run hitting upside, you want them to be able to get that safety flowing one direction and then jab back the other way. And I think Tutin can do that even if he's not setting a whole ton of guys up in the conventional sense and making a miss with a juke or a spin. He's ascending. He's getting better. We've seen steady yearly growth. But man, I'm almost talking myself out of him because he's got like a bad fumbling issue that he needs to clean up as well. I think Daniel Jeremiah said it best, and I'm not completely sold on this because Daniel Jeremiah is higher. If you focus on the things that he doesn't do great, because I don't think there's a lot of terrible in his game other than the ball security, you run the risk of missing an ascending player who is really good for the outside zone schemes that we're seeing in today's NFL. A guy who's developing, a guy who I think can develop into a 3-down back when you factor in the fact that he's getting better at being a receiver as well. He's got enough upside for me to put him in this spot, but I have that exact same tier differentiation where it's like, oh, where would I say it starts? Probably Tutin at 9 all the way down to like 16 or 17. This really could have been anybody, and I wanted to put the guy who has the burner upside in this category.
I agree. He's got quite a bit of upside. I just think, yeah, again, I didn't watch much of him. I only watched one full game, a little bit of another, but I watched the Boston College game, and it was just, yeah, he's got good straight line athleticism, but I think I'm a little bit lower. I saw less. I definitely saw a good chunk of the time the vision was there. He definitely processed well, but there were quite a few reps that were just horrifyingly bad, like true bottom of the barrel stuff. And also in gap over the middle of the, like when you're talking about just man blocking seams, especially over the middle, we're running up the middle, he's just basically useless. I mean, he could not process any of it. When we're running inside zone, sure, there's enough there, but especially when you're talking about a guy that's fitting in the wide zone system, the worst reads I saw from him was when he was asked to run outside zone, when he was asked to run to the edge. He just continually tries to bounce stuff outside, and it just almost never worked because he just does not have that elite juice in him. And if it's not going to work at the college level, it's most certainly not going to work at the NFL level. So, and that's we've seen so many running backs fail because they just cannot take the yards in front of him. And sometimes he does. And if it could just be somebody just beats that, just slaps him to stop doing that, and he does, and he's good at the next level. But there have been way too many times where I've seen a guy like this where like, surely it'll go away, and it doesn't. And I don't know. It's very, very scary that when you see that on tape, and especially combined with the fact that I don't think he's like great vision normally. He's just
It's fine.
he
Yeah.
finds the hole sometimes pretty okay. Like it's just
I think he's got really good tempo control.
sure, yeah. Um, but also it's like he can tempo it, but I never really saw him kind of like not stop, but wait and just wait for the hole to open up. Like we can run, bam, but I never really saw him wait for like the cutback or really be too creative with what he's trying to do. So again, probably need to watch more on him, but the fumbles also scare the hell out of me. If you can't hold the ball onto the ball at the next level, you will not be a back. You will not be on a team. It doesn't matter how great an athlete you are. He fumbled 9 times in 2 seasons, and that is 2 seasons is the equivalent of almost. He played basically a full NFL season in those 2 seasons. If you fumble 9 times in an NFL season, you're off the roster. So there's a lot of issues with him, and I didn't see near enough upside to really counteract that. But again, I have 4 through 5 on him. He's a part of tier 4, which starts with Rashard Smith, 13 through all of the rest of the guys. So I like him. Just not. I think I'm a little bit lower on his overall ceiling, which gives me some pause.
Hear me out, though. He's going to be a great kick returner. Took 2 kicks to the house in 2023, I'm just saying.
There you go.
Well, it's
can
funny
see it.
because I don't even think he'd be like an elite kick returner. I just think that it's something he can do.
I can see it, but hear me out, though. Whoever drafts him is signing on to the fact that, hey, we might get a Keyshawn Nixon wildcard moment.
I was just thinking Keyshawn Nixon in real time.
Well, you don't want your kick returner to have fumbling issues because that destroys games. But there's some stuff to clean up. But if he does, I mean, you talk about the guys in this tier, absolutely the highest upside out of any of them.
Piling on to the Bayshall Tootin, who I have ranked higher than you, but I actually have a lower grade on than you. I have a true 5th on him.
Really?
Yes.
I love the running backs in this class then.
I think I just am a little bit lower in general, maybe on running back positional value down the board, and maybe a little bit on the running backs in this class in general. I actually do have the lowest impact grade on him of any running back that I watched for this episode. Like, there aren't a lot of tangible strengths. There isn't a role to deploy him in, and I understand why some people really like him. I see some instincts, which make me... I'm a little bit more willing to buy into him.
The flashes are exciting.
He's still getting bigger and stronger. This is I believe his first year of like a significant workload as well. Certainly his first year as a bell cow. So can he get more comfortable running outside zone concepts? I also saw some nice flashes when they got him in behind a polar as well. Mm-hmm. I think he diagnoses, maybe I don't want to use the word diagnose. His sense for traffic, which I think is a huge part of playing the running back position, is really impressive. I think he has great size-adjusted contact balance. And when we're talking about contact balance backs, one thing I want to see running backs do is have the ability to do something with the tackle that they broke. And if the pursuit angles get busted, because defenders tend to not play things perfectly if they expect a guy is going to get hit, if he's going to get tackled, their pursuit angles get a little bit more negative and they start to converge, and some space flashes in front of him, this is a player who can take shit to the house. Yep. So there's my actual sales pitch on Bayshall Tootin. I'm not the highest on him. I'm probably lower than consensus, even though I have him at RB9. Really fun player. Going to be fun to see what he does in the league as well. Who do we have up next?
Well, I just want to say you kind of put to words what excited me about Bayshall Tootin that I just couldn't really put to. It was just like I have an issue with him when he's thinking. When he's not thinking, I think he's a great running back.
Oh, there are some running backs in this class that just embody that.
Like, when he's thinking, he gets up in his head, and it just generally doesn't go well. But when he's not thinking, he's just letting the football player shine through. He's just like, I'm going to make this move, and I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I'm going to do it. He's got that instinctual X factor that's what makes me want to bet on him. And it's hard not to. We have similar grades on him, though, so that's
yes.
Like we see him similarly. It's just I think I'm overall a lot higher in this class than you. So we'll see how we like it at the top. But that is funny that we have the same grade on him, and it was a 5.
That's awesome.
5 position difference. But that just goes to show how insanely deep this class is and how insanely close all of these guys are together. Because my number 16 is Jarquez Hunter at a 5 through 6, and my number 10 is at 3 through 5. So you could theoretically have them in this. Their grades overlap. it's ridiculous. It's a super weird class. It's gonna be so fun on draft day. All right, DJ Giddens time because I have him at 9, you have him at 8.
I have Giddens at, I think I have him a little higher than that. I have him at 7, so one spot higher.
Do you have Scadaboo at 8?
Yes.
Okay. Which one do you want to go for first?
What are your rankings of the pair?
I have Giddens at 9, Scadaboo at 7.
Okay. Why don't we talk about Giddens first?
All right. Do you want to do Giddens and I do Scadaboo, or the other way around? I'll leave it up to you.
I can start on Giddens, and
Okay.
this is
We'll
another
both talk.
guy. You'll notice that I feel just kind of lukewarm about the middle pool of running backs in this class. The reason that I have Giddens higher is because, like I've said already on the podcast, I value a guy that I can envision becoming a 3-down starter. And honestly, I hate to say this, but after watching a little bit of Devin Neal and some Cam Scadaboo, something about Giddens popped to me, and I realized it is that sort of premium acceleration. I don't think it's an elite trait. I think he's powerful enough in the lower half, and I think he's got some explosion, and he's got some ability to weave moves together through traffic. I wish I liked his vision better. I just think it's kind of all around very bland. I know that I'm kind of like off base with my scouting report on DJ Giddens. I know there's not a ton of overlap between me and other analysts because I've heard people say that he's a limited athlete with great vision, and I don't entirely agree with that. I think his long speed is adequate. I think he keeps big gains on the table at the next level. He is a little bit of a tweener to me where, man, he's just not creative is my big issue with him. He's got a little bit of the Baishal Tootin in him where I like him when he's not thinking, and say there's a mistake in how the Garden Center are blocking and you've got the 2-eye coming through onto you. He can plant a foot in the ground and he can spin off him. There was a play I saw where he spun off of a penetrating defensive lineman, and then the contain man came down to make the tackle, and he just spun right the hell off of him as well. And it's like, okay, why can't you use some footwork to set this stuff up? I think when he's running on the inside, particularly on zone schemes, he's very good at not pressing the line in like a bad way, as in you kind of want to manipulate the angles, and he just runs right down the middle and gets squared up. But at the same time, I saw some ability in space. I saw some ability to break tackles. I saw the instincts that I really value. He doesn't fumble the football a copious amount. I think he's getting better as a pass catcher. I can see the outline. The guys will dive at him, and they'll fall right off of his very muscular lower half. There's a lot to like. I'm kind of lukewarm on him, kind of lukewarm on the middle part of this class, but I can see the upside for DJ Giddens.
100%. I think it's really weird. You're very different from the consensus of view of DJ Giddens. I'm very different from the consensus view of DJ Giddens, and I think my view of DJ Giddens is very different from yours. But we have him in relatively similar spots with relatively similar grades.
Of course.
Because that's just how these things work sometimes. No, I mean, I agree with you that I think that the overall what I've seen does not represent Giddens as a player. I don't think I agree with you much on him as a player, though, which is weird because when I'm watching him, I see a guy who is very cerebral. There are some of those issues. I was like, I do agree with you. There are some lows there, but the highs are there a lot, and they're there very frequently for me. I mean, you look at him. I don't think he's great vision or anything, but I think it's good. And what really impressed me was just how well he can anticipate what the line's going to look like in
I think that's probably his biggest strength, but I see that more being at the second level as opposed to when he's reading out the gaps at the first level.
Yeah, 100%. But I also see like he anticipates what the line's going to look like, and that helps him get to the second level. But I do think that really does help him find the holes and really put himself in a good spot. I think there were a few times where he does mess up on setting up defenders, but there were plenty of times where I do feel like the linebacker was just he put him in the right spot, then he knocks him down. But I also think I don't think he's a limited athlete. I think that's a plus for him. I think he's a good straight line athlete. I don't think he's very explosive or anything. You know, he's not gonna he doesn't have Jahmyr Gibbs accelerator, right? Like we were talking about, but it's functional. It's good enough, and his speed ran the 4.4s, I believe. That's what it looked like to me.
4.43.
Yeah, that's about what it seems like. So I don't know where the idea that he doesn't have NFL lung speed is.
With great explosion numbers, 39.5-inch vert. Which
does not show, but I mean, if it's there, great. Which that could be a little bit more of the hesitance, which that is probably my biggest. He not really sure. Is now the time to go? Now the time to go? Now the time to go? I think he reads it well, but sometimes when he gets up in his own head, like he's thinking too much. He's like, I don't know if I should go now or in half a second. Just need to get that instinctual up. Like, let's just go. I'm just going to go when I feel it's right. But my big complaint with him is, also want to point out another good receiving back, definitely an asset for you at the next level. I just think there's not much power there for a bigger guy.
There's not true power to him.
Yeah.
I think he can wear some lower half contact, which I think that goes into the contact balance, but I was also disappointed. In a phone booth battle where he's squared up, he's getting dropped.
Exactly. I mean, he's 6'1", 212, I believe. And he just doesn't have – there's the guys who are strong and have some power and have some contact balance, but just lack that oomph, that want, that nastiness. And I think Giddens is one of those guys. You know, he has the tools. He's strong, got a great lower body. But when it comes down to it, you just got to hit a guy. You got to want it more. I'm not saying he doesn't have a great motor. I'm not saying he doesn't want it. I'm just saying it on tape sometimes there's just – I want to see you drive a guy backwards, and we never really do. I want to see you break more tackles. I want to see you run through the arm tackles, you know? So I think it's there, and that's what gets me really excited about Giddens. It's why he cracks my top 10 because, I mean, if you put this good vision together, you start to see less of the bad plays and more of the good plays. You see that athleticism shine through, and he can develop a power profile, pair that with his receiving ability, and you've got a 3-down back that can probably run the ball 15 times a game and catch the ball 5 times a game. And that is absolutely worth a second-round pick. Not even a third. That's worth a second-round pick. I have a 3 through 4 on him because that's a lot of stuff that needs to happen. But I think I have a 3 through 4 on him because I think any team could draft him in the third round, get an immediate rotational guy, play him on third down, and some good upside. So there's a lot there. I don't know if he'll really hit that second-round upside, but it's there, and that's notable.
I think he's poor at manipulating his surface area is maybe how I would put it. And part of that is because I do think he lets linebackers dictate contact a little bit too often with some of that hesitancy.
Yeah.
Because there's being patient, which patience is a premium trait at the running back position. And then there's being hesitant, and I think he toes that line and oftentimes just gets there a little bit later than you want. And even when he's, say, because he has the athleticism, like you mentioned, to turn the corner and to win that angle, he's getting there a little bit late because he's a little bit hesitant. And I noticed he really likes to lean his inside shoulder in. And multiple times I saw contained defenders get a chunk of his shoulder. And because he's just not a particularly strong guy for his size, maybe they didn't rip him down by the shoulder pad, but maybe they spun him around. Maybe they slowed him up. And then the linebacker was able to scrape over top for the kill. It felt like he was giving guys too many opportunities to hit him. And not in like a Cam Scadaboo way, who we'll get to in a minute. So I think we view Giddens very similarly. I have a true 4th-round grade on him. I think he's a guy who can be a starter that you're happy with at the pro level. At worst, a solid part of a rotation, but a lot of stuff has to happen.
Yeah, a very interesting player, but definitely one of the more frustrating watches of the class because it's like, you know there's a lot there. You see the flashes, but I just want to see it come together. And if it does, and I hope it does, I hope all of these guys become first ballot Hall of Famers, right? That's the thing. Whenever you're talking bad about a guy in the scouting report, we generally try not to talk too much bad. We focus on the good, but you know, we're not rooting against any of these guys except, you know, people who did bad things. We'll root against them. Like, we obviously are very, very, very well known. I mean, we had a whole segment cheering when Deshaun Watson tore his ACL or Achilles or whatever. If you're a bad
one of the
person,
best things I've ever been a part of, by the way.
It was truly a banner moment on this channel. Our millions of viewers were cheering along with us. But, like, I mean, if you're generally a decent person, we want all these guys to succeed because they're pouring their heart, their soul into this game, and they all deserve a chance to succeed. And we hope they all get chances. And unfortunately, not all of them will. But the few who do, we hope they do well. So we're never rooting against a guy unless we explicitly say that we're rooting against a guy. We're definitely not rooting against Giddens as well. But just something to note with the scouting process. You're talking bad about a guy. It's just like, we're not actively rooting against this guy. We're just trying to give context. You know what I mean? Just, this is really practice for us, you know?
So you mentioned heart and soul. Is that a segue into Cam Scadaboo?
Talk about grit, determination, and heart and soul.
He won't fucking die.
Scadaboo, yeah. I mean, took the nation by storm in the latter half and playoff of the college football season for good reason because this guy refuses to go down. And it's just a thing of beauty, man. It's really hard for me to give out A pluses, especially like I can give out A pluses for athletic ability. By the way, Cam Scadabu obviously got none of them. I can give A pluses for athletic ability, and I do that pretty frequently. It is incredibly hard for me to give an A plus to a non-athletic trait, and it rarely happens for anybody. There are 2 running backs in this class that got A pluses for contact balance. We'll obviously get to one later, and I think we all know who that is. But Cam Scadabu got one too, and that should tell you just how impossible he is to bring down.
It's kind of hard to describe because he is just a
Gotta
lower.
watch it.
He's a lower powered mover, and that's why I'm a little bit lower on him because, like I mentioned, with the contact style backs, I want guys who can do something with it. I want guys who can be twitchy and who can use that broken tackle to, say, take advantage of a blocker and get upfield or just straight up find a corridor and explode for a potential touchdown. And I don't think Cam Scadabu has that. But the way that he can chain these broken tackles together, it's kind of like his missed tackle force total, which I believe is second highest in the nation. In fact, I think it's third highest in the last decade behind Ashton Genty and Bijan Robinson. It's almost
Good
like
company.
it doesn't do him justice because even when he's not getting credited with broken tackles, he's breaking tackles. Because he's a little bit slower, he just always has guys diving at him, and he is completely unfazed, constantly falling forward, just crawling for extra yardage. He is just an asshole competing for first downs and around the goal line, and his vision is excellent as well. And that's huge because he is walking this fine line between basically not being athletic enough to play like, look, if he was 10% less twitchy, he would still be an NFL running back, but he wouldn't be a guy that we're talking about as my RB8, your RB7 or 6.
7.
Your RB7 in this class, but because he wastes so little movement and he's not finding contact that he doesn't need to find, that's why I do think he's a guy that I could imagine as a starter. He's a good enough pass catcher as well. I'll let you talk more about him, but I think this is funny. What do you think his biggest weakness as a pass protector is?
It's been a while. He was one of the first running backs I did an evaluation on, and I did a full eval on him.
I can tell you what I think it is.
Yeah, tell me what you think it is. Maybe it pops something, but I'm drawing a blank.
He spends so much time letting the intrusive thoughts to just try and fucking kill people win that sometimes he whiffs and lets guys by him. It's like he's just trying to decapitate everybody at all times, and it's like, okay, I love the willingness to square guys up, but for your quarterback safety, you got to dial it back a little bit. If that's your concern with a running back is, oh my God, man, like tone it down a notch, you're in a good place.
Yeah, no, he's a really fun player. One of the most fun watches in the class. I mean, I watched him more than 2 months ago. He was, I think, the 3rd running back I did, and running back was one of the, I think he was like the 6th or 7th evaluation I did in this class. So it's been quite a bit, but I was watching him in the library in one of those no talking zones.
Oh, no.
And I just could not help from laughing whenever I watched some of this shit. I think I audibly said, what the fuck? One time while watching, because it's just like, this should not be possible. This player is just so fun. And if he doesn't work out the next level, we'll always have his college tape because it's one that we're never going to forget. Definitely fun. I think, yeah, as he said, contact balance is just unreal. Next, he immediately enters the NFL and he's already one of the best at it in the league. That's what A+ means. And I think when he does break a tackle, I think he knows what to do afterwards. I don't think he has like the shiftiness to make it work at an incredible level. I don't think he's gonna. If he breaks one tackle, he's gone. He obviously he's very poor long speed, 4.6s, probably.
It was timed at 4.55 at his pro day, and then Dane Brugler comes out and says it was a 4.66.
Yeah,
which lines up.
4.66 makes sense. I think you can be a running back at 4.6.
I agree.
I think you can, especially when you got the traits he has, contact balance. And it's not just contact balance. He can lower the shoulder and bowl you down. He can helmet to chest and make you punished.
And he gets low to keep getting that extra 1, 2, 3 yards.
He's I have him listed at 5'10", 219. It's around there. So he's big, he's built, but he's built low to the ground. So he obliterates you. It's a lot harder. The amount of force that is going to be applied to you is going to be a lot harder to withstand if it's coming at you from a 45, if it's coming at you from an 135-degree angle rather than a 180-degree angle. You know what I mean? It's going to be a lot harder to withstand that. It's why we talk about leverage with offensive linemen so often, because you get low to the ground, you push upwards, that removes all of their momentum. He gets low to the ground, he shoves his shoulder into you, you're just flying upwards. It's so fun to watch. And then when he breaks that tackle, if there's open space in front of him, he doesn't have the shiftiness to win in a phone booth again. I mean, if he doesn't freakishly break the tackle again.
Yeah, he'll just bang through the next guy as well.
But sometimes his momentum's just completely zero and he goes down. He doesn't have the shiftiness to make him miss. But if there's space in front of him, like you said, I love that you pointed it out. He doesn't look, he looks for the contact, but he doesn't force the contact. He uses space the most efficiently of any running back in this class, apart from Ashton Ginty, as far as knowing angles, knowing exactly where I should run at the second and third level to get the most out of the space I have. And that was an absolute positive for him. And it's an absolute must for a guy who does not have good straight line athleticism. You need to know the exact route you need to take, and he does do that. I also think that there is some juice there as far as like lateral agility. There's some. I think I'm higher on that. I don't think he's fully stiff.
I think his lateral agility and quickness is actually very good. To me, it's his side-to-side explosiveness, which I see as a little bit of a different trait. His quickness and his ability to maximize his movement skills, I think it's one of the better traits that any running back has in this class.
Yeah, it's great, and that gives him another thing to do. You talked about his vision. I think I came in a little bit lower on that. I think it's good in the short, in man and gap systems generally. He'll make the right read. A lot of promising things there. Sometimes he doesn't. It's okay. Everybody misses the right read sometimes. But I think when you put him in outside runs more often, which ASU is a very multiple system, he makes the wrong read quite a bit. And I think it's just partially due to he knows his athletic limitations. So that maybe for most running backs it's the right read. For him, it's the wrong read. So he's just going to take the yards. But yeah, he makes Texas defenders look like FCS players. It was like every time he touched the ball, it looked like Arizona State versus Norfolk State. You know what I mean? There's so much you could say about him. We could talk for an hour about Cam Scadaboo. As you said, he's a great receiver too. The athletic limits means that he gets around 3 grade from me because I just can't take him in the second round no matter who I am. But if I'm a team that runs inside zone, that runs gap, and wants a guy who can get me 5 to 10 yards when I ask him to on any given play, will he ever get you more than 10 yards? Yes, because he's going to bounce off a million guys. Sometimes he'll lose a couple yards. He'll get caught in the backfield. But there will be those plays where he ends up on a Kyle, whatever his name's, angry run of the week. That reminds you why you drafted him in the 3rd round. And I know I'm not talking about much, but it's so hard to say that he has a 3rd round grade when I think he's such a wonderful player, such a fun player to watch, also a 23-year-old senior.
5th year.
Yeah, so it's so hard to give him a 3rd round grade, but it's what he has to be for me. Where do you have him graded out as?
I hate this, Victor. I have him as a 4th to a 5th.
Really?
Yeah. So
now, wait, hold on. Wasn't Giddens a 4th pure?
Yeah, I have Giddens ahead of him.
Oh, okay.
And to be clear, he is right at the cusp of that. I think I have some concerns about how he's going to translate to the next level. Because say when he's working up the middle and he knows he has to churn out a first down, then he will play almost comically low sometimes, which you love to see. However, you'll notice a lot of these tackles that guys are bouncing off of him, they're falling off of him. He actually plays very high. And I think that speaks to his exceptional contact balance. However, look, I shouldn't be averse to players that are kind of just different, that are outliers, because some of the times you get Bucky Irving's obviously a much different player than Bucky Irving, but he's 5'9" and a half.
Oh wait, that was my pro comp.
They are the same guy.
Exactly the same. Carbon copy.
5'9" and a half, 220. And it's not like he's 220 of all muscle. He's built kind of like a circle. People overuse the bowling ball comp. Cam Scadaboo is truly the bowling ball.
He is.
And so I have that concern about him. I have the explosiveness concern, and his play style invites late punch-outs.
The
He's
fumbles.
he's had
Yeah.
10 over the last 3 years.
Mhm.
He's had 6 throughout his ASU career, and then the first year that he took a huge share of work at Sacramento State, where he transferred up from, he had 4 there as well. I have a feeling that's probably just part of his game. He does have smaller hands. And then you get to the workload. He's gotten the shit kicked out of him, and that feels like the wrong term to use, but like, let's be real. When you collide with Cam Scadaboo, both of you are getting the shit kicked out of you. He's just dramatically better at taking it. 822 occasions throughout his 5-year career. Like you mentioned, he's a 23-year-old. That's legitimate tread taken off the tires, even if you aren't going to use him as a feature back in the NFL, because I don't think he has the athleticism for that. You still do need him to keep dishing out contact for a long, long time for him to return value. And so those are a few of my concerns with Scadaboo. It pains me to say that because I like him a lot. And again, he's my RB8.
It's a perfectly fair thing. I think I may just value running backs a little bit higher than you do in the later rounds.
I think you're probably correct.
I think that's just a difference in evaluation. And I think you I think we'll get to the talk on Ginty. No, I've come around because when we did our first mock draft, I was hesitant to pick Ginty at 12. I've since realized my mistake after doing quite a bit of research on running backs. I think that the best is absolutely worth a top 10, top 5 pick.
I'm there with you.
I've come around on that. You got to admit your mistakes, and I was wrong. If he's there at 12, which he will not be, Cowboys should take Ginty. But no, Scadaboo, weird player, but yeah, he could be a lot of things at the league at the next level. I'm not the NFL defenses. I would be concerned if he was an FCS player doing all this, or if he was like a G5 player doing all this. I'd be concerned. If he was an ASU and they never really played any comp, I'd be concerned. Texas was basically an NFL defense, and he obliterated them. Like, he made them look like FCS players, and these are players that will be drafted. Alfred Collins, a fundamentally sound tackler and great run defender, made him look stupid. Baron Sorrell, get the fuck off of me. Jahdae Barron, you're supposed to be a good tackler, good nickel, meet the ground. And he had 38 touches in this game. This game went to overtime. It's overtime, and he's still shoving dudes off of him. Everybody else is bone dry. They are tired, winter bear tired, and Cam Scadaboo was still like, get off me. Who do you think you are? So you talk about that mentality, he's got that, and that generally shines through in the league. So the tread on the tires is 100% real, but he's shown that he can take that tread on the tires. He's shown he can take on NFL players, NFL defenses. I'm in. I'm not in as high as some people are. I know some people, like, I think I saw Mark Switman, that franchise guy, he's RB3. I'm not that high, but
I don't think he's RB3 for TFG. I think he's like RB5 or 6.
I watched his running back video.
So did I.
Yeah, he was RB3.
No,
Or no, he was 4.
He might be RB4.
He was 4
Yep.
because he had somebody else at 3. But I watched it just recently. I didn't let any of that influence my rankings, to be clear. But I don't think I'm as high on him as he is. But he's just such a weird player. It's so hard to make the evaluation.
If Scadaboo hits, it will change my evaluation process for running backs, and it'll change my threshold. So I might be learning from my mistakes, come 2 years from now. I can't wait to see how Cam Scadaboo does in the pros.
I also think the bowling ball comparison is great. I like the pinball comparison too. I don't think he's as fast, not
That's
as
a fair
explosive,
point.
but bowling balls don't bounce off of things the way Cam Scadaboo does. Pinballs they're just flying around. They're bouncing off of everybody. It's chaos, and it feels like watching Cam Scadaboo.
Have you experienced in Madden where your ball carrier, well, because it always happens to the other team, where you're trying to make the tackle and you've got the guy wrapped up and then someone comes in from behind and it triggers that like stumbling forward animation and then someone else hits the running back and it re-triggers the stumbling forward animation and then they're 15 more yards downfield? Every Cam Scadaboo carry right there.
There you go. That's exactly what it is.
All right. Is that our 10-7 or do we have anybody left on your end?
I believe that's it.
You have Dylan Sampson in this group,
Sampson,
don't
yes.
you? I have him at 6.
6. Okay, so we have, and I have Devin Neal at 6. So let's talk about Sampson and Neal. Do you want to do Sampson or Neal first?
Sure, we can do Sampson. He's a work in progress.
Yes.
I think he's getting there. Another guy where I see the instincts. He's just a great all around athlete. I really liked his lateral agility. He has the speed to run away from guys. What's interesting about him is I was expecting a player who wins running to the perimeter. And I think he does his best work reading traffic on the inside, getting skinny, flying through a crease, and then sort of just manipulating the angles downfield until he reaches the open field. I don't think he's creative at all, which is a big concern to me. Like, don't get me, I think he has instincts. I think
Yeah.
he can spin off of guys when they come out of nowhere and hit him. I think he's got really nice contact balance as well, especially for, a smaller player, a player who's going to get bigger, who's going to get stronger, who can, I think, become a more reliable impact between the tackles. But I didn't love his vision to the outside. To me, it felt like if he was running to the perimeter, everything had to go to the perimeter. It's like he didn't see that just plant your foot and take it inside and have that nice runway to rip off a nice chunk. He didn't see that. He was always trying to turn the corner.
Yeah.
And I like him athletically, but I don't like him that much athletically. I see him as a potential quality starter. The arrow's pointing up. Tennessee runs a weird-ass scheme, but they still had him doing a good amount of stuff. And, he was sitting behind Jalen Wright, wasn't experiencing a full workload. They were using him in more of a designed role before. It's easy to imagine his vision getting better to me because I think he's got the instincts. I think there's a lot to like, but I know some people have him on early day two, and I just can't quite get there because of the floor and because of the ceiling. Like he's just, to me, never going to be like a premium 3-down starter.
Yeah, he's a very strange player because, like you said, when he's going to the perimeter, he's just running to the sideline and he's just not looking to cut it back. But then when he's running in power, which generally he's being typecast as this speedy guy that you just throw into a wide zone system and that's where he's going to be best at. And while I do think that's probably the role he takes at the NFL level, Tennessee ran a lot of different stuff with him. They ran counters, they ran power, they run a lot of double lead blockers, or like a double
A
pullers.
ton.
Like just they're pulling the right guard and the right tackle, the left guard and the left tackle all the time.
Side note. So if you've got, say, 3 guys pulling to the play side, is that still a 3-man lead, or is that 2 kick-out blocks going the other way?
That's a good question. Honestly, I think it's still a 3-man lead because they're going around
Okay.
behind the line of scrimmage. Because if it was kickouts, the kickouts would go behind them rather than in front of them. You know what I mean?
Fair point. Tennessee proves that just because you are exclusively using 5 linemen with no inline tight end, it does not limit your creativity a bit.
No. Josh Heupel is a very fun coordinator to watch. He's also a very annoying coordinator to watch because not a single play in that playbook is in any NFL playbook. He's running shit nobody is considering to run at the NFL level, but it works.
It's like Georgia for offenses.
Exactly. Or the entirety of Big 12 system.
There you go.
The entirety of the Big 12 front sevens for offenses. So weird. The double wide, I don't know how it works so much, but it does. But that's not about Dylan Sampson. Yeah. So my point was, like, he's going to the outside and he never cuts it back. But when you're running him on counters, when you're running him on power, he is one of the best eyes for the cutback lane of anybody in this class. Like, he sees it so well. I'm just like, I didn't even see that. Like, I've got a bird's eye view and I didn't even see that, but you did. And that's really fun. But then there's a lot of times where I just think his vision is just, it's fine. But it always feels like you're leaving something on the table. He's a really hesitant runner, especially behind lead blockers, which often leads to, if I'd triggered a half a second early, I could have made that hole. So yeah, you made the right read, but you were just a little late to it. So, and I don't think he has that superior, like, easy accelerator. I don't think he's that superior burst to just get through and make himself small and get through those tiny holes, which he does try to a lot. Makes the right read to get there, but just can't get through. He can get there, but he just cannot get through. The arm tackles will bring him down. Weird thing about Sampson is arm tackles will bring him down, but you get him in the open field, he's got some punch to him. He can take a guy with him.
He's a really interesting player.
Yeah, he can be nasty a little bit. I don't think it's perfect.
When he gathers
5'11",
steam,
208.
he looks unpleasant to tackle. And you don't say that about every running back, especially not every running back that is 5'8" and 1/8, 200. at least
Wow.
at the combine.
He definitely dropped weight for that, though.
I think he did a decent amount.
I'm
He didn't
surprised
look
he's
that small on film.
5'8", yeah. He ran at least 205 at Tennessee, but I mean, yeah, that's fun, and it's breaking the mold of the traditional outside zone speed guy. The traditional outside speed guy, he goes down at first contact balance. That's why I liked Etienne so much, because he doesn't go down at first contact, and that's why I have Samson higher, because he doesn't either. But the vision is there. It's just you need to trigger more. I want to see more instinctual stuff. Not a truly elite speed guy, like not a low 4.3, high 4.2 guy. Not like that. And there is something there in the receiving game. There's not much. As a pass blocker, he's all over the place. And by that, all over the place, I mean literally all over the place. Like every play, it seems like he's going to 3 different places. Like he's just, I'm gonna go to the quarterback's right, quarterback's left, center, and then he just misses the block.
In a good way, right? He's taking every angle away.
Yeah, he's taking every angle away, except but he takes the angle that nobody's going down.
He's playing mind games with the blitzer.
At least he's active, though. Some guys just kind of sit there and do nothing. He's active. He's trying. And sometimes he does hit it, and it's really fun to watch.
I saw nice flashes of him staying squared up, and that's how I feel about his entire receiving profile. He was just underutilized, surprisingly. He doesn't have the reps.
And again, that's Tennessee doesn't use the running back much out of the backfield. We saw it with Jalen Wright a couple of years ago, like you said. So Samson, Tennessee makes it a tougher evaluation than it should be. There's a lot more to be desired in outside zone. There's a lot more to be desired in gap. But there's some unusual stuff. He doesn't fit into the classic archetype of what you think he is. But there's some stuff to be desired with his athleticism. He is a really good lateral athlete as well. Like he can make guys miss at the next level. Semi-creative. Not at the first level, but when he gets to the second and third level, he can be creative. He does have breakaway speed, even if it's not at the elite level. It just feels like there's something missing with him, and there's so much missing that I'm not sure that while he does have a really great ceiling, I don't think I can project that. So could be an interesting player. I liked Marcus Whitman, that franchise guy's comp of Raheem Mostert, the fast guy that maybe doesn't have the best vision, but can make things work in the gap, can make things work in the outside zone, and is a little bit stronger and can take contact better than most wide zone guys.
Because peak Raheem Mostert was like a damn good running back, and I think we don't appreciate him enough because it was a relatively short peak. Kind of got discovered late.
Yeah, and it was later in his career, which I think Samson could follow a similar path, where it's just like Mostert needed quite a bit of time. Let's work on the vision. Let's figure out how to find the cutback lanes on the outside. Let's figure out how to just get there, pull the trigger. Once we get all of the NFL traits settled, though, he became really good, and he was a big part of that 49er championship run, scored 19 touchdowns a year. We're only year removed from that. Samson could be a similar player. Just might need to give him some time. I have a 3 through 4 on him because theoretically, after 2 years, he could be a great running back. But if he's ever going to be a great running back, I think it's probably like 6 years down the line. But for now, he can be a quality guy that the big plays open for him, and if he finds a cutback lane, gets to the second level, he could be loose. So this is a guy you absolutely want to take, but does leave something to be desired.
Got to cut out some of the fumbles as well. So I have a 3 to a 4 on Samson. I have a 4 on Giddens, and I have a 4 to a 5 on Scadaboo. It's going to start picking up pretty soon.
Yeah, I have 3 to 4 on Samson too. So we're the same. I think we see them very similarly.
Now Devin Neal.
Devin Neal. Yeah, I have him at 6. I have a true 3 on him. What do you have on him?
I have a true 5.
I think I'm higher. I obviously am higher on most people than Devin Neal is. He may end up being a my guy, which is disappointing because I feel like a lot of people have him as a my guy, but then there's a lot of people that don't have him very high. So it's like a lot of the people that I follow like him a lot because a lot of the people that I follow watch the tape.
Our ball knowers.
Yeah, exactly. I do get why you have a 5 on him because you are valuing upside a little bit more than I am. I, of course, do value upside. I do think he's got upside. Let's just start with the knocks on Devin Neal.
God damn it, he runs like a 4.75.
He does not run a 4.7. I think he runs faster than Scadaboo.
He ran a faster time. However, he dropped a lot of weight to run it.
Yeah, but on tape, I think he has faster tape speed than Scadaboo does.
Well, I think Scadaboo's tape speed is really bad, but I think we moderately disagree on that. I would give Scadaboo like a 5% edge, but it's not egregious. So go on. I apologize.
Okay, no. It's fair. We should have this discussion because I also think the burst isn't. I think he's got good build up speed. The burst isn't crazy, but it's also solid. I think that third gear is pretty solid. That first gear is pretty solid. The second gear is abysmal. Getting from the first to the second gear, like just there's the burst, acceleration, and then long speed. The acceleration is not good. The burst is decent. It's good enough. The long speed is good enough. That second gear is tough though, and it's why he is a true three on me for me. Because if he has good acceleration, good speed, good lateral agility, this is a true first round running back. There is no other word about it, bro. He has the record for Kansas at both rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. He may have the best pound for pound vision in the class. He may be the smartest running back in the class. He sees everything. When you talk about the difference between patience and hesitancy, he doesn't toe that line. He is teach tape for patience, not hesitancy. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. And then the second he knows where the right place to go is, and I say no because he always knows where the right place to go is, he's gone. And that helps alleviate some of the concerns I have with his speed, his acceleration, his burst, because man, yeah, Dylan Sampson may be faster than him, but if he's taken half a second after the right read opens up, then Devin Neal's going to already be through that hole, and he's actually going to be faster than it. He's going to get to the point faster than Sampson would. So if you're that decisive, and he just doesn't really miss often. Everybody misses sometimes, but it's rare for him to miss. I also think his agility, his foot speed, change of direction is better than some people give it credit for. He's got an okay jump cut. He can make guys miss. He's deceptively hard to tackle. He's a deceptively elusive player. He's not deceptively hard to tackle as a power rusher because everyone knows how impossible he is to bring down as a power rusher. Not Cam Scatterboo levels, not Genty levels, not even Hampton levels, but he's tough to bring down. He's a nasty runner. He'll run right through you. Good contact balance. We talk about efficient at using angles. He's going to make the most of the space in front of him. Really like his footwork. There's no wasted movement, if you know what I mean. And he's also a good receiver and a great pass blocker. So you probably can have him on all three downs. I mean, this is a guy who I think starts immediately as probably a number 2, but you give him some time. I don't even think you need to give him. He's probably going to be who he is for the rest of his career, year 1. Maybe he could be a 15-touch guy. I don't know how well his athleticism will play. If it plays, then he's going to be a starter that you're happy with for his first contract. Does have some tread taken off the tires, so I don't know if it's past that. If it doesn't play as well, maybe he's just like a 10-touch guy. But I think that's his floor, honestly. 8 to 10 touches a game. And I take that in the third round every day of the week. So I'm curious to see what you have on him. The athletic concerns, obviously, I'm a little bit higher. It does worry me that I seem to be higher than everybody else. But I got to trust the tape. I talk for way too long. I want to hear you.
We basically concur in every category. I think he may have the best all-around vision in this class. He reads every concept exceptionally. He's excellent at running behind a puller and waiting till the perfect moment to break out. He really takes advantage of double teams and how gaps open up in zone. I think his ability to sort of lure a linebacker into a hole and plant his foot and go left to right and find a different gap to run through, it may not be the conventional way to make guys miss, but it makes guys miss because it takes guys out of the play. His breakaway percentage and long run stats in college are not terrible. The reason I'm kind of concerned about that...
It's the Big 12.
It's the Big 12. And also, he is so unbelievably good at maximizing every single yard once he gets into space. There was some play, it was one of the bigger gainers of his career that I was watching, and he's able to earn enough space to find a crease. He created the crease to run through, and then he gets into the open field, and he just is able to bend the angle when he's in the open field to gain as much yardage as possible, and then he's able to smoothly plant his foot and bend it back the other way. Kind of has the football up and away from the player behind him. He's putting a stiff arm on the guy who winds up tackling him. It's just like, oh, man, that's how he's so productive in college. He does everything perfectly. I think I'm maybe a little bit lower on the power profile.
That's fair.
don't get me wrong. Like, he's powerful and has good contact balance. I think he has some raw strength limitations. And the only reason I bring that up, because for a lot of guys I wouldn't, is I just don't know what his winning trait is. And I think to be a starter in the league, and when I say a starter, I mean like an above replacement level starter.
Yeah.
Because like Antonio Gibson, for example, has been a starter before, and I don't think that that's something you're happy with. I think he's just kind of a guy that's there. Now, you get Antonio Gibson as a backup, that's a player that can contribute to a Super Bowl in the right role. And that's how I think Devin Neal contributes to a Super Bowl, is as an exceptional change of pace back, just does not fumble, which is not surprising because Devin Neal does not create negative plays. It is just the long speed and the lack of a winning trait for me and the tread taken off the tires. Man, if you give him like Omari and Hampton level athleticism, is he better than Genty? It's close.
I can't say he's better than Genty because I think there is like 4 or 5 running backs in the history of the draft that are, hit like the last 20 years that are better than Genty, but
I think you're maybe overselling it. How many there are?
No, well, there have been a lot of great running backs.
That's a fair point.
There have been a lot of great running backs. I don't have a higher grade on Genty than I did Bijan. So
fair enough.
But Neal, yeah, if you give him Hampton athleticism, he'd be immediate number 1 starter. He'd definitely be in competition with Genty.
Same conversation.
There would not be a singular person in that tier. Like, he would go top 10. But a really fun player, really great player, and yeah, that power profile, I think we just see it a little bit differently. But I think his winning trait, I think that is the vision. I think that is the patience, the cerebralness, because people are like, well, is that really going to translate to the next level? His traits, will he be able to function? If his athleticism can function, which I almost have no doubt it will, I just have how much it will. If it's just not as good as I think it is, then yeah, I think he probably is just changed pace back, which is fine for the 4th or 5th round. And honestly, if you get a really quality change of pace back, 5 to 8 touches a game in the 3rd round that really helps contribute, like pick 96, I don't think you're too upset about that.
That's fine.
You can get Tyrion Davis-Price. It can be worse. So you could take kicker Jake Moody. If it's not clear, I don't really support what John Lynch does in the 3rd round. I'm very, very.
You could get Amari Rodgers, who just fumbles all your fucking punts away.
I'm very, very excited for John Lynch to take Bishul Tootin in the 3rd round this year.
Oh, it won't be Tootin. It'll be worse than that.
Tootin?
Montreal Johnson, potentially.
Oh, yeah, Jordan James.
There you go.
Now that he fits that really well. I'm just thinking
I was going to say different stylistic fit. You know, I almost wouldn't mind seeing Jordan James in the 3rd round.
That would be interesting. But yeah, Neal, just a guy you want on the team. He's going to contribute no matter what. But I do think there is a ceiling there that's like 15 touches a game, which is what really broke through and was what gave him the 3rd round grade for me.
You know, I think he could be like Kyron Williams, or maybe 2 or 3% better than Kyron Williams, because he doesn't fumble, which Kyron Williams does. The vision is the same. The quickness is the same. I think the quickness is the same, and the potential to set guys up in the hole. Both extremely effective at converting touchdowns. Man, he has just maxed out his physical tools.
And Kyron Williams, his winning trait is the vision. You know, and I think that all of the stuff that Devin Neal does extremely well translates. So if the athleticism is good enough, then it translates, and he's a great NFL running back. He's not going to make an All-Pro team really ever. Maybe he might make a Pro Bowl once or twice. Never going to be suited up for a gold jacket. Never say never, of course, with these guys. Cooper Kupp, everyone said he had a low floor and then a low ceiling, and then he goes out there and triple crown. Tom Brady was drafted in the 6th round, said he could be anything more than backup. Never say never, but realistically probably never going to be fitted for a gold jacket. But just a damn good player, and you want to take damn good football players, especially past the first 2 rounds.
The NFL draft is a long-tailed distribution. Is that the correct term?
Yes.
For guys' upside?
It is. All right, so that's both of our 10 through 6s, right?
I believe so.
So now we just have our 5 through 1s. How do you want to do this? Because I feel like we probably have the same top 2. Do we have the same top 2?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, let's do our 5 through 3s, which I'm guessing are the same. 3 guys, just in what order? and then we'll do the 2 and 1 discussion.
All right. So my 5 through 3: Caleb Johnson, Travion Henderson, Quinshawn Judkins.
I have Travion Henderson, Caleb Johnson, Quinshawn Judkins. So similar, but slightly different. Since I have Caleb Johnson higher and you have Travion Henderson higher, do you want to just each want to take the person we have higher on?
Sounds good. Who we starting with?
I just talked for a whole bunch about Devin Neal. Why don't you? You want to take it with Henderson?
I can. Travion Henderson is just a lot of fun to watch because he does a lot of things well.
Yeah.
He is just a spark plug sort of player, and people, I think, have pigeonholed him into this role where he has to be the Jahmyr Gibbs type back is always the comp for him. Now, I will say something about that, which is I hope we stop using Jahmyr Gibbs as like the lightning component of a Thunder Lightning committee backfield, because Jahmyr Gibbs by himself is easily a top 10 running back in the NFL to me. Like he's different.
Not a committee back.
He can run for 1,500 yards. He may have run for 1,500 yards last season.
On like 60 touches.
Now, Travion Henderson is not Jahmyr Gibbs, but I think he can be deployed in the role that people mean when they say the Jahmyr Gibbs role. He's been banged up in the past, and then they bring in Judkins to be the guy who takes the lion's share of the carries and keep Travion Henderson fresh. And they just use Henderson as an offensive weapon where they're giving him carries going everywhere. It's a ton of pre-snap orbit motion, using him as a decoy, getting him the ball in the flats. And he makes the most of it. There's just very little that he can't do. I mean, I want to start with the receiving ability where he's got smooth hands, and I see nice routes, and I see a very strong pass protector as well. One thing people misunderstand about Travion Henderson is because he's drawn the Jahmyr Gibbs comps, people think of him as this super fast, elusive back. And don't get me wrong, like he can plant a foot and set a guy up and make a guy miss, but he really plays to his power more than anything. And you see that in pass protection where he is willing to take guys on, and he is, I think, a full-sized back. One of my biggest frustrations with him is actually that when he's at the line of scrimmage, he can juke guys out of their shoes. He can redirect. He can bounce outside. He can read the grain in contested areas and find a way to set up moves and get to space. And then he gets to space, and he just wants to run over the safety. And it's like, dude, you have this premium athleticism at the college level. Throw him a jab step and run to the outside of him. He's not going to tackle you. If he does get a hand on you, you are strong enough where he is just going to fall right off. So I think that can be developed, though, is the thing. Travion Henderson, I think, is one of the 5 best running backs in this class immediately at the next level. If he can stay healthy, and if he can get a little bit better at a few things, particularly his between the tackles vision, I think it's iffy. I don't think it's as bad as some people make it out to be. That's just my opinion. When he's working to the outside, I see a player within a fantastic understanding of tempo and how to read blocks as they set up and take advantage of positive angles. If he can clean that stuff up, I see him as one of the highest upside backs in the class as well. It feels like we've written him off as a guy who can be a 3-down starter. It's not what I'm projecting. I think he'll be a really, really good secondary back in a committee at worst. But it could happen, and that's why I have a true second-round grade on him.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with most of what you said. He is a great athlete. I mean, that's just, his long speed is amazing. He's just lightning, as you said. And we've talked a lot about guys who don't have an easy accelerator in this class. Henderson has an easy accelerator. You talk about seeing the hole and then just bam right through. That's Henderson. He's that outside zone guy that is going to run, and he's the patience, he's the tempo, like you said, to process the blocks, and then once he sees it, there's no hesitation. He's just going to go through, and he's going to get to his top speed incredibly quickly, and his top speed is fantastic, and he's going to he's going to boat race everybody to the end zone. I will say his power and contact balance they were not impressive to me. I like that you said, like, at the third level is where I really saw what I like to see, like him taking on safeties. I want you to, as I said, I want you to just run around him, because these are not fast guys. Just run around him and you'll be gone. But at least I know you can dish it out. But when we're talking about linebackers, he's just going to go down at first contact most times. I just did not really see him beat linebackers with power often, and he showed some ability to shuck um, like defensive tackles, arm tackles, but overall he would still go down sometimes. It's not like abysmal, but it's just not a good trait for me. Um, and as a gap processor in man or gap blocking, I just saw a lot of hesitancy, not really the decisiveness we see on the outside, not really sure of what's going on 100% of the time, dances too much, sometimes makes the wrong read. It's just not a guy I really want to play too much in gap, even though I do think you probably can do it. Just going to take a little bit more. But great lateral athlete as well. I mean, just being able to juke guys out of their shoes, stop start ability, which is underrated. We talk about agility all the time, but a guy who can just stop on a dime, then start back up on a dime, he's got that just incredibly lethal jump cut.
Potent back juke as well.
Yeah, yes. And the hezzy step is also great, which is like deploy that on safeties more often and you'll be gone. The hezzy step is lethal. So I also wanted to point out one more to go into it a little bit more detailed. His pass blocking. He is the best pass blocker in this class, which is ridiculous to say. Actually, do I have him graded as the top pass blocker? Let me see.
I don't know who else would be up
That's
there.
the thing. It's like this isn't. There's some good
Manungai?
ones. I don't have Manungai graded out fully, so maybe he is, but which is ridiculous. He's like 5'10", 207. But yeah, he's probably the best pass blocker I have graded out.
He is a rocked up 207 though is the thing. I think that's maybe the biggest area we disagree is I was able to see him maybe not like truck linebackers, but
He's
enter with
strong.
low pads and just drag them more than you expect. I think that's what I really liked about him.
I think he's strong. I think he's strong and maybe some. I don't think he's going to get stonewalled on every play. I didn't see him break a tackle at the first or second level. Maybe once. Maybe, like, again, I think he's got a good nose for falling forward, which is a good trait, and that's why I don't have his power in, like, the D. It's just a straight-up C for me, which is you're a smaller guy, but he's plenty strong. But in Pass Pro, we fully see it. This guy just – you talk about guys who are strong and big that aren't polished. You talk about – but Henderson's so polished. I mean, there's so few – it's so rare that we see a pass blocker this polished out of college as a running back, and he knows exactly what he wants to do. He will never miss a pickup. He just never does. He's such a great nose for it. I think there was one time I saw it, and it was this nickel comes flying in off the edge, and he sees it a half a second late, but because this guy's such a great athlete, he gets around him. But it's just, it never happens. It never happens. And then when he does, he takes him on, and he's got a great anchor. He sticks him. Hands never miss. He's nasty with it. He throws guys to the ground. I mean, he's just a mean pass blocker. And then, as you said, I said Brashard Smith may be the best pass catcher in the class, and that may was put there because Travion Henderson is just an elite pass catcher. Almost never drops the ball. His routes are crisp. He will always be a third down back at the very least, and his outside zone chops give him great ability. As that lightning guy, I think he can absolutely be a 12 carries a game, 6 targets a game kind of guy, maybe even 15 if the gap stuff comes along. But there's enough there with the vision and with the power profile that I didn't love that dropped him down a little bit. Also, I just don't think he's that creative of a runner. I think he'll take what's there. He takes what's there, and that's a great thing. But sometimes you need to try and make things happen, especially if you're going to be in that lightning role. So those are my knocks on him. There's very few. I have him as a 2 through 3. But tape grade purely he was a pure 2. The injuries do frighten me a little bit, so they drop it down to a 3, especially because we know the NFL. These kinds of injuries, 2 foot injuries. One of them's unspecified, but we knew it was a foot injury. That both missed 5 games in 2 separate years. Then he goes into a committee with Judkins, and he doesn't have any injuries. But if you're going to play a full season in the NFL, if we're going to draft you in the second round, I'd like to think that you have an ability to take 15 touches a game. I don't know if I'm ever going to want Henderson to take 15 touches a game. I think his ceiling's Aaron Jones. That's a damn good ceiling, but I do think that's his ceiling. And if he just can't stay on the field, that's scary too. So, but overall, another thing we didn't mention, fumbled, I think, twice in 4 years.
0 times in the last 3, 1 as a freshman.
Yes. Truly elite ball security. Nobody's better than him in the class. Like Devin Neal and Kyle Manungai don't fumble the football. Travion Henderson more doesn't fumble the football somehow. because he got so many touches over the past 4 years and one in his freshman year. It's incredible. You can talk for days about this guy.
I want to see the elusiveness come along because the injury stuff. Look, I know it's 10 games missed over a span of 4 seasons, and that doesn't seem like that much. For one, the fact that it's foot and then unspecified but still foot, man, that stuff can stick with you. That can be chronic, and that's a concern. But also just like he generates a lot of ugly contact. He gets squared up more than he should, and like you said, he's not a guy who's always dictating contact. Like there are some hits where he puts himself in danger and kind of gets splayed out on the ground. And if he can replace 50% of those with sticking down a jab step or hitting a guy with a juke move or a spin move, I think you're going to have a more effective football player and a football player that you're a lot more confident in his long-term longevity. I like that they brought Judkins in to sort of be the thunder in that room and keep him healthy. And Henderson averaged like 7.5 yards a carry this season.
I really hope. I don't know who would be able to do it. I don't know if it's possible. Maybe the Broncos do it. I hope somebody takes Judkins and Henderson together. Just keep
That
them
would
together.
just be awesome.
They're the perfect compliments.
Like,
They're the
actually-
perfect compliments to each other. Ohio State did a great job of getting both of them in the building. They're the perfect compliments to each other. Each one of them needs the other to function at the highest level, in my opinion. One more than the other, I think that's Henderson, but it's because we both have Judkins at 3, so we both have a higher grade on him than we do Henderson. But Henderson's a great player. He's going to carve out a role in the league, whether it be just a pure pass catcher who comes in as a change of pace back or a guy you can really rely on as a fantastic running back who can give you the big play and get the yards on the ground, plus an elite receiving threat. There are a few ranges of outcomes for Henderson. I feel like all of them are pretty good.
You get the Gibbs and Montgomery vibes, not just because they're both really good football players, but because they're both just dogs on the field. Like,
They want it.
absolutely. Henderson, who's a smaller guy, just plays tough as hell and smart as hell. And we'll get to Judkins.
The one thing I will say is we're seeing some round 1 hype on Henderson
Nope.
now. I'm not
Not
there.
doing that.
I'm not there. I wouldn't take any of these guys in round 1 except for my top 2. And even then, I just don't think Henderson will be good enough to warrant a first-round pick on him.
I completely agree. I don't buy that narrative that someone is going to pull the trigger on Henderson
Especially
in
with
the first
injuries.
round.
Maybe if he didn't have the injuries, but there's no NFL teams taking those injuries and that tape in the first round.
When there are all these guys that are an athletic step up, I think. And I think Caleb Johnson is an athletic step up from, like, certainly like the DJ Giddens of the world. Like, he's well beyond the Cam Scadaboos. I think he's maybe in a similar conversation to Dylan Sampson, but with a whole different element to his game. Do you want to talk about Caleb Johnson?
I mean, well, let's talk about Caleb Johnson because he's also a very good player. And maybe a take to have him higher than Henderson. I'm not sure where people stand.
No, people think he's RB2.5.
Really?
RB3.5.
That's
RB3.5.
That's surprising. Yeah, no, okay, so I didn't know Caleb Johnson was that highly touted, but yeah, he's a great player. He's very big. He's not like super big. I don't think he's like 230, but
They got him at
220.
6'1", 224.
Yeah, I mean that makes he's big and he plays like it. He ran a 4.57, which was really surprising. I don't trust that number.
It's not real.
No, and I think part of it, I just don't trust that number at all. I don't think he's like, his long speed is really good. Maybe the accelerator isn't great. I still think it's good.
It's good.
It's good. I don't think there's I have no issues with it though. That was a positive for me. His accelerator and his speed were both positive. So I'm not going to trust that number. It was a pro day number. Something could have gone wrong. I don't know what it is. Maybe he was just having a bad day, minor tweak of the ankle, ate the wrong food beforehand. That's not a real number. When you watch him on film, he accelerates really well, and then his top speed is just lethal. It takes a couple seconds to build up to it. He's definitely a build-up speed kind of guy. Once he gets there, he's gone. Like, legitimately game-breaking speed for someone that big. And not the most fluid guy, but definitely not the least fluid guy in this class. Not stiff, I would say. Not super fluid, but functional. Functional lateral athleticism. Enough there. But how he really wins, again, is that speed on the outside plus truly elite vision, processing the blocks, processing what the defense wants to do to him, knowing how to set guys up, knowing where things are going to be, having that blend of patience, that perfect balance. Like, he's not hesitant, but he is patient. He'll trigger. There were more hesitance. He has more hesitance like Devin Neal. He's not like a Devin Neal level vision guy. He's not that smart. There were some black marks on his tape, but most of the time he was making the right decision, whether it be gap or zone. On the outside, he's going to run to the outside, make the right move. He's powerful. I don't think he's the most powerful guy of all time. Again, it felt like it was fun to watch. It was there, the size. He converts speed to power really well, but there wasn't that oomph. There wasn't that X factor of pure elite power there. I think it's great, good to great. I don't know if it's elite, so that's a knock I have on him, I guess. It's not really. I have him as an A minus power. I just don't. We're talking about a guy that is not the best athlete, and is also really big. You want him to have like A power, A plus power. So I just knocked him a little bit because of that, but relatively elusive as well. Generally held onto the ball. I think there was 1 or 2 fumbles.
It was a non-issue. He did fumble a couple times. Was
Like,
not a red flag.
It's not something you're really worried about. If you have a concern, I'm not concerned about any of his athletic traits. I think for his size, they're all above average. He's not the most creative rusher of all time, and he wasn't a factor in the pass game at Iowa. Those are really the 2 things I see on his tape that I don't love, and both of those things I don't think Iowa's a very creative running team. I think they tell their running backs, "Here's what we want you to do. Please go out and do it, please." Because you're from the Midwest, please go out and do this, please.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, you got to say that. But I think they just asked him to do what they wanted him to do, and he did it, and he was very good at it. And then I just don't think they asked him to be a receiver that often. He doesn't have the shiftiness or the lateral agility to be a great receiver out of the backfield, but I think he can be functional. He's also a great pass blocker. Well, he's got the size to be a great pass blocker. There were some misses. So I think his receiving profile can come along. If it doesn't, then probably not warranting a second round pick. If it does, then he's definitely warranting a second round pick, because I think he's going to be a really good running back at the next level for any team, ideally an outside zone team. But if you want to play him in the gap, everybody plays a little bit of both. Just if you want to play him more in the gap, more in the outside zone, he can be great. If that pass catching profile can come along, he can be a true difference maker for a team. But I'm curious to see what you think about him, Caleb Johnson.
He's just a hyper-projectable, blue-collar type of running back. It feels like there's virtually no downside to him. Like you said, very good vision. And also, like you said, I don't think it's elite. I think he can get muddied up a little bit running between the tackles, where there are moments of hesitation where you do wish he would just hit that small crease harder because he's got the size to do that. However, then there are also moments, because he is usually such an urgent running back, of him kind of barreling straight into the guard's rear end. You get him working outside to the B and C gap. I think he has just an uncanny understanding of the flow of traffic and using subtle cuts to extend a 15-yard gain into a 30-yard gain, into a 40-yard gain. And, we left the last guy behind, and now it's a 65-yard touchdown. I love his athletic profile. I don't think the 40 time is real. I'm not worried about it. We know that he can reach exit velocity, and I think that his acceleration is honestly probably better than his speed. He reaches his landmarks about as fast as any running back in this class. And like I said, blue-collar sort of player. Takes pride in what he does jobs when he's on the field. He becomes a missile in first down situations where he's going to get as low as possible. And look, maybe his pop when he's truly lowering the shoulder against a safety or linebacker is average for his size.
Yes, there you go.
However, you can only do so much when he's 2 feet off the ground and coming for your kneecaps. Like, good luck stopping his momentum short there. Excellent touchdown converter. He's strong enough.
Goal line and the sticks.
Exactly. He's strong enough to become something that can get pushed as well to generate the pile. And then I'm sure this dude squats a hell of a lot as well. He'll do some pile pushing by himself. Guys fall off the lower part of his frame. He's capable of taking smaller players for a ride. There's a ton to like there. Like you said, badly underdeveloped pass catcher. I didn't see anything that makes me think he can't do it at a functional level and be a 3-down back at the next level.
There's some reps where it was like, okay, there's something there.
I didn't see an ounce of creativity in his game whatsoever. He's not an elusive back.
Yeah.
But when you have two ways to win as a running back that are both really convincing, which are he can win with the contact balance and the general power profile, even if he's not like a devastating truck move threat, and he can win with the athleticism, and then you factor in the excellent ball carrier vision to maximize every carry, extremely high floor running back prospect too. Like, I think the worst outcome for Caleb Johnson is he is a luxury backup who you are very comfortable handing the reins over to in the event of injury, and his upside is like legit Pro Bowl talent.
Oh yeah, I mean, guy who's got enough tools to really be a great running back in the league, and like his creativity is not great. I think there is maybe you can unlock more of it at the next level, and especially I watched the Ohio State game, and there are a lot of these bigger running backs. You generally feel, hey, if you're not behind a great offensive line, it's just not going to work. I don't think that's the case with Johnson. I think he's got enough there that, I mean, when I was offensive line was getting dominated against Ohio State. And yeah, there were some losses that he just couldn't be helped with, but he was making the most out of a bad situation. He's really doing what you want to see a guy do when you're going up against a mismatched defensive line. A defensive line that's better. You want to put yourself in the opportune situation. So if a shed happens, you're able to move. You're able to just keep going, and also just not giving up and not waving the white flag and just keep going. I mean, it was the last plays of the game, and they're down 20. You're not winning the game, and he's still lowering the shoulder. He's still going. So leader as well. It's just a guy that is just going to want to keep playing football. And I don't think that he's one of those guys that you have to have a great offensive line in order to draft him.
I completely agree. Any team in the NFL will want Caleb Johnson, and they will take him if he's sitting there.
Oh, yeah.
And now we talk Judkins, or?
Yeah. Let's talk Judkins, because we were just talking about a guy who we don't think needs a great offensive line to be successful in the league. I think Judkins, if he has a great offensive line, he could be a great player. If he doesn't, I don't think he's going to be that great of a player. He can be a fine player, just not great.
So I have a first to a second round on Judkins, and part of that is this was his first year at Ohio State, and I think you could tell based on the vision, particularly when he was running outside, which he was not asked to run outside behind a polar nearly as much at Ole Miss, at least on the Ole Miss tape that I watched, and he looked a little uncomfortable at all times. But oh my God, was the heart there. It feels like people are kind of coming around on this now, but for a long time when he wasn't putting up the dominant numbers and the dominant efficiencies, never averaged over, is it 6 yards a carry in his entire career, which is surprising for a Ohio State and Ole Miss dominant running back. I think his career high is like 5.7 yards per carry, which is only okay. People think of him as sort of this slower, plodding, less explosive power back. And then he goes out and verts 38.5 and broad jumps 11 and has a 1.51 10-yard split. He pops immediately from the first carry you see.
Exactly.
His twitch, his explosiveness, and oh my God, is he violent. I think he's borderline more violent than Cam Scadaboo. Now, I think that's because he has more potential. He can generate more force. The torque he gets out of his upper body, it's sort of edge rusher-esque in terms of how he can turn the changes in pad level into a weapon. Violent stiff arm, best truck move in the class. He wants to hurt you. And I love it. And the best part is the shiftiness, maybe not the shiftiness, but the foot speed that made him shifty on his Ole Miss tape, because his missed tackle numbers kind of dropped off this year at Ohio State. It's still all there.
Yes.
I think it's a new system issue, and that's why I'm willing to take a little bit of a leap of faith on Quinshon Judkins, who, to me, doesn't have the best vision, but at worst is going to be a player that you're comfortable giving 20 carries a game to, even if he's not going to do the most efficient work with them, because he is just going to beat the hell out of a defense, and he's not going to fumble, like, ever.
Yeah. I mean, you said it. He does not fumble. That's a great point, but he's just... That's the one thing that you just watch him for a couple minutes and you're like, this is an NFL running back. Like, there's nothing about this guy that isn't an NFL running back. He checks every box. As far as full size, 6 foot 221. He's long. He's big. He shows he's fully yoked up. Like, I mean, this guy is jacked and super strong. I mean, he is violent. Like you said, He's going to obliterate you. He's going to make you sorry you were ever born. Helmet to chest, shoulder, running through you. Also, very important to add, has some tread on the tires. A bigger guy, plays a tough style of football. Clean injury sheet, never been hurt. Something you really want to see. It's very good to see. He definitely showed some progression from. I've watched a lot of Quinshon Judkins. I watched a lot of him summer scouting, and I've watched a lot of his Ohio State tape. I watched some of his Ole Miss games. He definitely progressed this year. He did regress in some areas, which I think we'll talk about in a minute. But let's stick on his great attributes for a second. The power. I feel like when we talk about a lot of the powerful guys in this class, it's all about contact balance and getting through people. I don't think we see many of the guys like Quinshon Judkins, where he really wins with power, are his truck and his stiff arm. He's going to make you sorry. He wants to hit you. He's not just going to have guys bounce off of him. If you're going to bounce off him, it's because he shoved you off of him. You know what I mean? I mean, he's a very good running back and like that. His vision is very nice. He's very decisive. He's not really going to.
Fair enough.
He's not going to leave yards on the table. I think he's not like a hesitant runner. His vision overall. It's good, not great. He misses opportunities sometimes.
That's what I saw as well.
Yeah, like that's why I have him good, not great. He's decisive, and I love that from a running back because I think it's a lot easier to teach somebody to read the correct read than it is to teach them to trigger on the correct read. So that is something I look for more. But yes, he'll sometimes miss it. He misses the cutback lane quite a bit in 2024, which leads to one of my main issues with him is just that in 2024 he was not a very creative running back. Just took what was in front of him. He was just like, okay, I'm just going to take what's there. I'm going to run into you, and if you tackle me, you're not going to tackle me. You know what I mean? So he just never really tried to create extra yards, which I don't want you to create a bunch of extra. I don't want you to bounce every run outside. That's going to be awful, but you need to try sometimes, and that didn't really see that. On the contrast, though, in 2023, we saw a lot of that, but it was too much of it. He would try to break stuff outside, bounce stuff off too much, and because he has superior athleticism and power, it would work, but it's not going to fly at the next level. So if we marry the two, we get the perfect, we get really good vision, but we haven't really married him yet. So it's still a question if you can. So it's a weird eval because of Ohio State and Ole Miss's vastly different systems, but also, when he's in space, the athleticism really shows. Knows angles. I mean, he falls forward, nose for the sticks, nose for the end zone. It feels like he just checks every box. There's so few weaknesses. I just could not ultimately come away with a round 1 through 2 because I don't think there's enough juice there to be an elite one cut, sharp cut kind of guy, and I don't think there's enough juice there to be an every down back that like you want. He's not a guy that you don't need another running back, right?
Okay.
If I'm taking a guy in round 1, generally I want him to have the upside at the very least that if I take him, there is a very realistic scenario where I will not need another guy to have more than 8 touches a game. And I don't think Judkins. I think if you're going to play him, you're always going to need another guy like Travion Henderson that gets 8 to 10 touches a game, which is fine. I'd be happy taking him the top 40. If it gets to like the top 25, 30, like if some team trades up with the Eagles, take him at 32, no problem there, you know.
So I think that's where we differ the most. Now, I do have some concerns about his overall third down receiving profile. Just wasn't really utilized a ton. That was more Travion Henderson's game.
He's got good hands, to be clear, and I think he's a good pass blocker.
I think he's an okay pass blocker. He's playable.
Dips the head too much.
It's just got to come along at the next level, and I think it will. And that's why I'm comfortable. And to be clear, I would not take Judkins in the first round because there are a lot of very good players just in that region of the draft. And this being a deep running back class, I think it makes more sense from a value perspective to wait. But I do my grades on sort of a year-independent basis. I think Judkins is a really strong running back prospect because I see the adequate combination of twitch and explosiveness, of long speed, where the big chunk gains, maybe not the like Saquon Barkley one-play touchdowns, because that's pretty unique to Saquon Barkley, of course, but the 50, 55-yard scores, I think those are still on the table. And to me, it's not just that he's powerful. it's the psychoticness that he plays with. I instantly think he is one of the most violent running backs in the NFL on day one. You said it perfectly when you said he's not going to let guys bounce off of him. He is going to remove you from his airspace. He wants to crack helmets, I think is the best way to put it. And man, it is hard for me to bet on that player when there is tape of him making guys miss. Because imagine if you put that together, especially for a guy who's only 21 and a half.
Honestly, I think you've talked me into 1 through 2.
There you go.
I think I'm there. I was almost there.
I'll bump Devin Neal up to 4 through 5.
Oh, thank you. I was like a smidge. I was just like, I need to be convinced like a little bit more, but there was no one to convince me. You've convinced me. He's around 1 through 2 prospect. Yeah. When you've got a guy who's, I think he was like a 9.7 RAS or something like that, 9.8.
Sounds right.
Ridiculous RAS, and it shows on tape. With no real weaknesses in terms of athleticism, size.
9.97.
Yeah, 9.9. Oh my god.
That's what I have written down.
Yeah, that's nuts. Full size running back with 9.97 RAS that shows on tape, violent, and can make people miss with good vision that can become great, adequate receiving ability that you can improve upon. Yeah, maybe he's not like Saquon Barkley. Maybe he's not gonna be. Probably not ever gonna get 20, 25 touches a game.
High bar.
But not many running backs can. I think I was just given the round 1 through 2 too high of a. That was too high of a bar for him to clear for me. But I think I've lowered it a little bit. Yeah, it's just hard to bet against that player when you've got such a high floor and really good ceiling, and you immediately know he's going to be a great player. Talking about, well, he probably never gets 25 touches a game. He's probably never going to get less than 12 to 15, right? So, yeah, I'm there. You've convinced me.
Omarion Hampton next.
Yes, Omarion Hampton is next. Honestly, I think Judkins may have just leveled him up from tier 3 into tier. Well, wait, actually no. Okay, to be clear, I have my tiers. My tiers go like this for the top 5. Tier 1 is Ashton Jeanty and nobody else. Then 2 through 5 is tier 2. Judkins, I might put him over Hampton now. And I think I may be slightly lower on Hampton than consensus. He's also a 1 through 2 for me. But you're high on him?
He's a true 1 for me. I don't think I'm the highest on Omarion Hampton, where he's getting to the point where some people think he should be taken in the top half of the first.
You're saying he should go to the Bears at 10 if Jeanty goes at 6.
Look, I don't think they should, but I think there are worse ways to spend the 10th overall pick.
Yeah.
I love Omarion Hampton because he's a guy I liked a lot over summer, a player with exceptional athleticism. First of all, when you turn on the tape, this is rare. The first thing you notice is just how fucking built this guy is. Like, a man with that tapered of a waist should not be able to have, like, an 8-foot wingspan. It doesn't make sense. And he's compact. He's 5'11 and 3/4, 221, just without any body fat whatsoever. And it feels like you're trying to tackle a sandbag watching defenders go after him. Guys just straight up fall off. It's a little bit like watching Scadaboo if Scadaboo was like 2.5 times better as an athlete, except Omarion Hampton adds a whole nother dimension into the equation. His ability to sort of contort and not lose any momentum and find ways to dip under and around tackles and keep going at full speed, it just adds another gear to me. And he is a home run hitting threat as well if he finds a crease. He was very urgent when I watched him over the summer, maybe bordering on impatient. I thought he added a little bit more nuance to his game that just sold me on him even more when he would meet that safety in the open field, and he got there a lot. He's had back-to-back extremely productive seasons at North Carolina. As a sophomore, he would just try and run his ass over, and that can work because he's one of the best backs in the class at running guys over. Now, I'm seeing him add some, like, not just jab steps, but like ghost truck moves into the equation, really weaponizing the fact that nobody wants to tackle him. Yeah. There was one rep I saw where he completely leaned in and he kind of did like jump forward thing. Like, there's this terrible tackle animation in Madden that looks totally unrealistic. And the safety kind of goes, he crumples away from him, and Hampton just plants a foot in the ground, and it's like, oh my God, now he's 5 yards away from this poor safety who's looking around like, what the hell just happened? He didn't even have to touch that dude. He ran him over without laying a finger on him. Excellent athlete. I really do like the vision. I think he has some of the better vision in the class. Underutilized as a receiver. He does everything well. I think he's a solid pass blocker. His hands, I think, are borderline premium for the running back position, the way that he snares the ball. There are some guys in this class who have very good focus and who have a low drop rate, but they limit their rack opportunities a little bit because they like to catch it kind of on the chest. Omari and Hampton can run a drag route and truly just grab it and tuck it away in stride and keep going. Guys, he just takes guys for rides. Like, if you're not immediately falling off of him on the dive tackle, he's just running with you like a backpack. His tape is just chock full of instances where he's getting tackled by 3 guys at one point, and then 7 yards later he goes down. And it just doesn't make any sense. Hyper athletic, hyper powerful. I think he's ahead of the curve developmentally, can become a good third down back. Love me some Omari on Hampton.
I mean, Hampton's a fantastic prospect. I think I went too far. Judkins isn't. I mean, he's technically they have the same grade, but there's a lot of round 1 through 2s that I give out.
Judkins back down to a second.
No, yeah, fuck you, Quinshon Judkins. You're not as good. No, I'm gonna keep it there though, because I do see them similarly. I think Hampton's a little bit more juiced of a version of Quinshon Judkins, because where I was talking about how Judkins, I don't think he has that one cut sharp ability. Hampton does. He can plant the foot and drive and go. Plus long speed and acceleration and burst and lateral agility for the size and overall. Really, hold on, never mind. I have a true 1 on him. Let's go. Hold on. I thought I had a 1 through 2 on him, and
I win again.
I'm reading the write up and I'm thinking back to the tape and just like, yeah, I don't know if this is a 1 through 2, honestly. And then I'd look and it was like, okay, yeah, I was right. I have a true 1 on him. Never mind. But he'll probably be one of the lowest true 1s I have, just because overall, I think I agree with most of what you said, so I won't add on to too much of it. Let's just see what in my notes if I have anything that you didn't, because you thought that was a great evaluation. He's a great pass blocker, just fiery play. He wants to hit guys in the open field. He also wants to hit you if you're coming at him pass block. If you're coming at him trying to work towards the quarterback, he excels at working in a phone booth. We talked about knifing through the defenders earlier. He can do that. Gap or zone. He's a truly versatile running back. You can play him wherever, and he will be great. Elusive jump cut, you know what I mean? Fumbled 2 times in 2 seasons with 534 carries. That's kind of insane. Like, that's just really rare, especially when he plays with such a hair on fire insane play style like Genty and Scadaboo do. Except he doesn't have the fumbles that Genty or Scadaboo do. So that's actually something Hampton has on Genty. He doesn't fumble. You know what I mean? The only really issues I have with him is just I think I view his vision a little bit lower than you do. I think the flashes are there. I think we see good vision a lot. There's just a little bit too much inconsistency for me. Sometimes he triggers too early. Sometimes he triggers too late. He'll leave some yards on the table sometimes. He's a little too hesitant sometimes. Doesn't let it fully develop. But he's also a 21-year-old true junior with plenty of time to figure that out. And I also have in my notes, absolutely meets the vision and processing standard of the NFL. So it's not like that's a knock on him. It's just, yeah, he's not elite at this one thing. So Hampton, when my only knocks on him is like sometimes he's kind of stiff a little bit. He's sometimes lowers the shoulder in pass pro, sometimes misses a developing hole, sometimes occasionally is a little impatient or too hesitant. And those are my only knocks on him, and all of them start with sometimes. Yeah, that means that this guy's probably going to be a really good NFL player. So Hampton is a fantastic prospect. There are definitely worse ways to spend the 10th pick. If I had the 10th pick, I don't think that I would take him. But if I had the 20th pick, and I needed a running back.
Who's that?
I don't know. Probably a team that has given many heartbreaks to many fans.
Like a BRO team, like the Browns, maybe?
I think it's probably the Browns. So if I'm the Browns, pick 20.
They trade back. Broncos come up to 2 to draft Omarion Hampton.
Yes, Omarion Hampton. No
Just
matter
like
what.
we all expected, and they still get Shitter at 20.
To be fair, Kevin Costner did trade 3 second-round picks to move up to number 6 for a running back in the 2014 NFL draft.
It's a good process.
Yeah, great process, especially if you already traded the first 3 especially if you traded your next 3 first-round picks.
Well, you just want to clear the whole thing out and start over again.
That's a documentary, right? Draft day. It's like an actual draft. That's what happened. Like that's NFL GM
I
process.
assume so.
Yeah, I think so. But anyway, if the Browns are picking at 20, I think that would be a good use of the pick. They need a running back. He'd really bring some juice. Give their young star quarterback, Kenny Pickett,
Of course,
some help. But yeah, I know I'd absolutely take him at 20.
I'll read you my weaknesses section on Omarion Hampton. Occasionally bounces to the perimeter when he should stay inside.
Yeah.
Younger back whose vision can get a little overwhelmed on crowded inside concepts because I don't think I did his patience justice. He was really impatient over the summer, and he showcased some legit ability to chop the feet and then find that late developing hole. Like, that ability to slow down your process while remaining athletic and then explode through the moment that you find a crease. We talk about that as like a big running back trait, but not a lot of guys do that when you actually watch the tape. That's pretty rare, and he checks that box, which is exceptionally rare for a guy with his play style. And then you mentioned how he very rarely fumbles. Size and strength help compensate, but ball security can get a little lax. He hasn't fumbled much, but I saw a lot of times where it looked like he was close, and I thought that was enough of a weakness on his profile to write it down.
You got something to fill out the draft guide.
Hypothetical fumbles. I like Hampton a lot.
That's why I'm so bullish on him, because from his sophomore year to his junior year, there was so much improvement in his vision that I'm like, yeah, now he probably wasn't meeting the NFL standards before, but now he does. Next year, he could be a plus vision. He could have plus vision for the NFL.
Could absolutely happen.
Which he absolutely could in his rookie year. And honestly, there's a better than good chance he does. So he has sky-high potential. Really great floor. I mean, there's no reason not to take him in the first round. I would honestly be pretty surprised if he made it past the Chargers at 22. I'd be pretty surprised.
Got to get him earlier on in the mock drafts.
Yeah. In our predictive mock, he did not go in the first round. That was probably a mistake.
Man, it's so hard to find spots for him, though, because there are so many of his landing destinations, like the Broncos and Chargers.
They need other stuff. And that stuff, like the stuff that the Broncos and the Chargers and the Steelers need, 20, 21, 22, odds on he'll probably go in one of those 3 spots. If he does go there, they all need a lot of stuff, and that stuff is generally, that's when the runs usually start on the good players. So he's got a tough draft position to where if he doesn't go 10 to the Bears or 12 to the Cowboys, he could slip out of the first round. I don't think he will, but
it wouldn't be surprising.
It wouldn't be surprising.
All right,
it would be surprising, yes, but not impossible.
At number 1, I assume we have the same guy, Ollie Gordon II out of Oklahoma State.
Yeah. I mean, listen, those 17 carries for 42 yards against the University of Tulsa are really impressive.
Lockdown D.
Yep.
Nowhere to go.
We've got Ashton Jeanty at number 1. Boise State, 5'9", 211, true junior, and my number 2 player in the class.
Yes.
All of those?
I feel like I almost don't really know what to say about Ashton Jeanty because
it's all been said.
Like, we talked about how Omarion Hampton doesn't have any knocks. Jeanty is like that, but with better vision and the same athleticism and even more insane contact balance because he's just as rocked up at 5'8.5". Like, I think that's interesting that that's not discussed a lot about Jeanty is that he authentically has like 5th percentile height for a running back. And nobody cares because it doesn't frickin' matter. If you have one criticism on Ashton Jeanty, it's that he might fumble like 5 times a season, which wouldn't be great. But he's going to give you there's 17 games in a year and he's going to play all of them. He's going to give you 50 explosive carries a year. Immediate impact, immediate high-quality RB1, I think. The sky is the limit on Ashton Jeanty. Oh, and he's a great receiver as well. So, yeah take it away.
Yeah, I'll read my weaknesses on him. Some semi-inconsistent pass blocker. I couldn't say he's an inconsistent pass blocker. Sometimes he dips the head. Sometimes he dips the head. Fumbled 4 times. A lot of tread on the tires. low percentile height, and that is it. And it's not like Barry Sanders wasn't 5'8", and I know it's an irresponsible thing to say. He does not have the fluidity that Barry Sanders is. No NFL back in history has the fluidity that Barry Sanders had. But it's irresponsible. I get that. It's irresponsible, some of the comps that are being made. And it's irresponsible for me to make the comp that I'm about to make. And obviously, I never watched this guy play. I do have his jersey. But I've watched a lot of highlights because I love the team that he played on. I think Ashton Genty's Marshall Faulk. It's irresponsible.
No,
I get
it's not.
that.
It's totally valid.
It's irresponsible. And Marshall Faulk is a gold jacket. He is one of the best running backs to ever grace an NFL field. But I can't comp Ashton Genty to any running back that is... Honestly, I just can't comp him to just like a typical Pro Bowl back because there's nobody in the history of the league that has this skill set that isn't in the Hall of Fame, if it all translates. A+ is too low a grade for his contact balance. He just cannot be tackled. Talk about the level of play. He couldn't be tackled against Penn State either. Just because Boise State's offensive line was full of future accountants doesn't mean that doesn't... He's still not a great player. He still was really hard to tackle, but instead of breaking a tackle 5 yards deep into the run and then breaking it for 75 yards, breaking 4 tackles 5 yards deep into the run, that goes to a 75-yard touchdown. He has to break a tackle 3 when he first gets the ball against Penn State, then when he's a yard away from the line of scrimmage, then when he's a yard at the line of scrimmage, then he falls forward for another yard to get 2 yards total in the play against Penn State. So...
He averaged over half a missed tackle forced per attempt in that game, which is actually above his average for his 2,600-yard, 29-touchdown 2024 season.
He's impossible to tackle. He is truck, stiff arm. He's incredibly elusive. You cannot get your hands on it, and if you do, you are going to be driven to the ground. Talk about vision. There's just really no... Is it elite? Probably not. Will it be? Maybe. He's a true junior. It's also closest thing to elite. He just doesn't really miss the read. He's incredible at finding the cutback lanes. Has elite game-breaking long speed, an easy accelerator. The hips aren't quite on the level of elite, but they're damn close. Create A+ rushing creativity from me. As you mentioned, he's a great receiver. He will be a true third down back for it. He'll be a true 3-down back for you in the league. I'd be shocked if he gets less than 250 touches this year. I'd be shocked if I'd honestly would say I'd be shocked if he didn't make 5 Pro Bowls in his career. And honest, there's a better than... He's got the highest chance of anybody in this class to be fitted with a gold jacket when his time has come. That's how I feel about Genty.
So he's a son of a military family, and he played football in Italy for a little bit, for a year of high school, and he had some very good stats from that Italian league. I hear that the students he played against, they made sure that none of that tape ever saw the light of day. It's all been burned. I would pay a lot of money to see Ashton Genty play against Italians in Naples.
It's very smart to burn that tape. I heard that he had 100 carries for 7,500 yards. They kicked a touchback every time, and then he ran for 75-yard touchdown in every play.
Sounds entirely correct.
Yeah.
I like to think that nobody even tried to tackle him. Like, his stats are 0 missed tackles forced per attempt. What are we looking at? And the team just walks back to the sidelines every play.
Perfect example of why you got to watch the tape. 0 missed tackles forced. It's like, oh, he sucks at missing. No. He's avoiding tackles by literally taking the spirit out of them.
He would have a 60 PFF grade because he wouldn't be assigned a positive for just running straight to the end zone.
Exactly.
I think we've sufficiently covered Ashton Genty.
I think we have. I mean, there's so much to talk about with his tape, but it's just like all good, and you can't talk about it for that long. But yeah, I have a top 5 grade on him. I have Travis Hunter as a better overall player just because I think he has such a unique skill set, and he's such a great receiver and corner that was enough. But Travis Hunter as a receiver is a worse prospect than Ashton Genty is as a running back. And Travis Hunter as a corner is a worse prospect than Ashton Genty is as a running back. So he plays I heard, what's his name? I think it was Brett Coleman or EJ Snyder said this on the Bootleg podcast. He said he does his job better than anybody else in this class. When he has one job to do, he does it on any given play. He will do the best job of anybody in this class, and that's true. So, Genty to the moon, Genty no matter what. I think his range starts at 2 with the Browns. It won't happen, but I think it's a better pick than Shedeur.
Me too. He does his job, and then he proceeds to do 4 or 5 more jobs on his way to completing the final. His job is just run to the end zone and ignore whatever else is in front of you, because
he does it.
You don't need to concern yourself with that.
No, it's not important.
I think those are our top 10 running backs, even though we talked about like 13 or 14. I'm okay with that personally.
Yeah, but realistically, there's like 14 guys in the top 10 in this class.
Fair enough. And there are about 28 in the top 20.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I cannot. So, we're at the end of the top 10 class. Let's ask the question, is this running class a generational running back class?
I'm not going to say generational, because I could certainly see a world where only 3 to 4 of these guys are starters and maybe only 2 or 3 of them are stud starters. Well, 2 would be low. Where only 3 to 4 of them are real stud quality starters. And to me, I can't call it generational if that's the case. I'm a little bit lower on the, we'll say 6 to 12 range of this class. I mean, you notice from Dylan Sampson to Caleb Johnson to Travion Henderson, that's a 4th to a 2nd to 3rd to a true 2nd. So I do think that there's a pretty clear second class of guys that I project as future excellent starters under Genty. And then it's more so guys that can be an adequate part of a rotation. But when you combine the fact that there are going to be multiple good starters in this class with just how deep it is and how many skill sets, how many flavors, I think that looking back a decade from now, this has the potential to be a generational class. I'm not going to project that ahead of time, however.
Yeah. When you're talking at it just from a specific prospect standpoint, is this a generational prospect class? I lean no. I will say it unequivocally has generational depth. This is the best running back class in terms of depth, maybe ever, and it may be there will never be another one better, especially with the running back contracts being the way they are right now. We may never see it again. But at the top, it's not like, if you remember 2021, 2020, something like that, the Jonathan Taylor's, Clyde Edwards-Helaire class.
I thought of the same one. That was with DeAndre Swift as well.
Yeah.
And J.K. Dobbins.
Was Ken Walker in that class too?
Oh, man,
no,
was he? That
he
would
was
be
the year
insane.
after. Yeah, and J.K. Dobbins, and there was another guy too. There were 5 guys that had 1 through 2 grades consensus. This doesn't have that, where there's like so many guys that could go in the first round or legitimately powerhouse running back prospects. We don't have that in this class, so that's why I say it's not generational. I do want to talk about generational, that tag for a second, how it's not being attributed to Ashton Genty, how it is attributed too much. I think there's 2 kinds of generational, and I'd like to make that distinction here. I think it's important. I think the first kind of generational is the kind of generation people think when they think of the word. It comes along once in a generation. 20 or 30 years you see this once. Andrew Luck, John Elway. These are guys that just break the mold. They're impossible to find, and when you do, these prospects are truly the best you'll ever see. And just because Andrew Luck never turned out to be, obviously not a Hall of Famer, he was a great player.
Exactly.
Injuries derailed his career. When we're talking about generational, we are talking about a generational prospect. How they do in the league really doesn't factor too much into how great they were as a prospect, But then there's the term that I like, which is generational in terms of NFL generations, contract generations. Contracts are 4 to 5 years. Rookie contracts, first-round contracts, are 5 years with a 5th-year option. Once every 5 years, it seems that there is a generational player in any position. Bijan Robinson came along 5 years after Saquon Barkley. Julio Jones in 2011. Jamar Chase in 2021.
A.J. Green in 2011.
A.J. Green. I don't think he was a generational prospect.
That's fair enough.
Maybe he was a freakish prospect. Calvin Johnson in 2005-06. Every 5 years or so, there is a guy in every position that comes along. He's the best by a clear margin of anybody that has been since about 5 years ago, which is the contract generation. So I think it's okay to attribute that generational tag for a guy once every 5 years that comes along. He's just better than everybody else. Can you attribute it to Genty? Genty is the question here. Is he as good as a Bijan Robinson level archetype? Because Saquon, I think, is once in a 20, 30 years generational running back. Like, that's a guy who went at pick 2, and I think if he was in this class, he would go at pick 2 as well. There's nobody that was on his level. Bijan's a once every 5 years running back. So is Genty that once every 5 years running back level generational talent? Or is he just another RB1?
He is definitely that once every 5 years level talent to me. And what makes me really confident in saying that is, like we've talked about, he doesn't really have weaknesses, but he has really exceptional strengths as well. And I know that sounds so basic, but I mean, there are Mason Graham-esque prospects that have a very short list of weaknesses, but it's hard to project them as multiple-time All-Pros. Like, don't get me wrong, maybe he could get there. I like Mason Graham a lot. But he doesn't have that level of dominance that Genty has in college and that I think Genty will have in the pros. It's like blue chip plus, and that's why I'm willing to assign that once every 5 years generational tag, which there's something to be said about the 20-year generation where you see a guy once and then you get married and raise a family and then you see a prospect another time. I think the 4 to 5 year generations are a lot more practical.
Yeah, I think it's important to make that distinction because maybe it's better to find another word for that 4 to 5 year generation. I think that would be great because generational should mean Andrew Luck. It should mean Saquon Barkley. It should mean Joe Thomas. Like these guys that were truly superior prospects in every sense of the word, practically no weaknesses, full of strengths that will be elite at the next level. And these are players that come along once in a generation. Your Deion Sanders, your Champ Bailey. You know what I mean? These guys, maybe we need a different word for the Bijans of the world, the Genties of the world. I don't know. Nothing comes to mind, but I think it's important. They deserve a word to distinct themselves from blue chip. You know what I mean? Because they're not just blue chippers. They're better.
The media will proceed to use it 3 times a class at every position for the foreseeable future.
That would be the problem. What if we make a Balls Talk Sports exclusive tag? The Balls Talk Sports superb player. Awful.
We'll
figure something out.
Doing it live on air was never going to go well.
No.
We'll brainstorm something.
Exactly.
That's how we're going to draw people to the podcast. We're discussing a new type of prospect,
exactly.
One that you've never seen before, other than 5 years ago.
We're talking about guys as like, hey, today we're talking about our gems. When we do our gems episode every year, in that we'll also give our Balls Talk Sports official once every 4 to 5 year generational players. It's like these are the guys that get the esteemed award, and it will become such a great award because everyone will go on to do great things that people will have to tune in.
I can't wait to see our track record with it. It's going to be awesome.
Yep. Wow. So today's April 6th. The draft is April 24th. We were 18 days away. That means you only get 2 more podcasts until the draft. They better be good ones. One of them will be mock draft. Next week's will be the last one before that mock draft. Any ideas?
Well, like you said, a Gems episode. I really like the potential behind that.
Just go over our guys. It doesn't have to be like, oh, they're 6th through 7th rounders consensus, who we think are 1 through 2s. It doesn't have to be all that. Of course, it can be some of them, but just our guys.
We could do the kicker rankings.
We haven't done long snappers yet.
Special teamers?
Yeah. I think that's a great
special teams coverage.
That's a great second to last.
Dan Jackson, it's your time to shine.
Absolutely.
You ever see any Dan Jackson?
I did not.
Oh, man.
I'll take your word for it.
I'll have to show you some.
No, I'll dive.
Football player's football player.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're saying
not strong.
Travis Hunter?
Can't
Ashton
tackle.
Genty, Dan Jackson.
Doesn't diagnose well in coverage, but he does one thing really well, and he gets to that goddamn ball carrier. Doesn't always bring him down, but he sees him, he locks on, and he goes for the play. He's also blocked like 3 kicks in his college career.
You're
you love it.
A guy who he's just good at his job. Maybe he's the best at his job in the class. Doesn't matter that his job's relatively insignificant on the whole scale. He's great at his job. The best holder in this class, maybe he's the best at his job in the entire class.
Future All-Pro Dimeback.
Yep. Bam. All right.
Those were our top 10 running back rankings. We hope you enjoyed. And ladies and gentlemen, 18 days away from the draft. Can't believe it feels like just yesterday we were watching these guys over summer. It's like watching your kids grow up.
It really is.
Ladies and gentlemen, as always, stay hard.